All right, we're live. We're live right here. I just went live. We're trying to see it. I literally, dude, I was doing something else. I didn't even know the price was, and then I was like $38.99. What's going on? So I think we'll catch it live. I think we will catch it live, folks. Yo, thank goodness I just tuned in. I wasn't looking at my phone for boom, 39, 30 freaking 9, folks. Wow. Dude, if you're just joining, the StreamYard might have been a little late. The StreamYard might have been just a little late, but I logged in literally 5 seconds before we hit 39. Literally 5 seconds before we hit 39. Rewind the stream if you missed the first the first like 30 seconds. Whoa, we just did it. This is some of you guys might have. I started 30 seconds before we hit 39, but the StreamYard delay might have. You guys might have seen that I was live. But if you just rewind the screen, you'll see we're going from 38.99 to 30 to 38.98, and then boom, right through 39, and then we get there. Dude, I had no idea we were this close to 39. I was just like finishing some work, and then I take a look at Webull, and I'm like, well, that's very close to 39. That's very close to 39, folks. Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, there you go. $39. What? I mean, 39. There you go. 39. I mean, what more can you say? $39. It happened. It happened. It's so crazy. Are we here early because of 39? Yes, we're here early. I literally started 2 minutes ago. And if you guys rewind, you'll see that we rang the bell right on 39. But you guys might not have known that I was live. Well, there we go, folks. Palantir at $39. I will be having some Palantir employees come on the show at 4 p.m. So we will get their thoughts on what's going on in the world of Palantir. They're going to be talking about Devcon, so that'll be pretty cool. But $39 as we get into the final 25 minutes of the market close. It looks like the volume just pushed through right at the very right as we enter into the final 20 minutes of the market open. There were 21,000 shares chilling at 39, and we just busted through that and made it higher. Now, here's the question. Do we close above 39? Because if we close above 39 Dolores, that's going to be pretty fun. That is going to be pretty fun if we can actually close above that $39 level. Man, not bad. All right, so we'll go back to Palantir in a second. Let's see how the rest of the market is doing. Meta, 581.76. Meta is green, up 2%. I bought a bunch of HOOD today. I think I bought like 100 shares today, or not 100, like 70 shares, something like that. All of it was around 22.25 to 22.30. So bought a bunch of HOOD today. And took advantage of that dip that we saw today. We got ARM right here that's up a little bit. Nvidia's up 3%. So Palantir outperforming Nvidia now for the day. Palantir right here up 4%, $39.04. Nvidia at 122. CrowdStrike 283. That's up about 1%. Rivian's up about 1%. Bitcoin trying to get back to 61, which is nice to see. Bitcoin fell below 60 for a little bit in the morning. Now trying to get right back to 61, which is nice. It does feel like Bitcoin is forming a bit of a bottom here. And getting ready to get some momentum. So Bitcoin right there at 60,888. Now, Tesla has been a little rough today. Tesla right here below the 240s, down about 4%. Not sure why Tesla's down, but Tesla's down. And I guess it's the delivery stuff that the street is worried about. But I don't know. I thought that was yesterday's news. It seems like the street's still upset about that. That one down about 3.85% on the day. Where is Palantir? Palantir holding 39, bro. We get 39.09. All right, so now to continue being greedy, let's see where the resistance is for $40. Because why not? You know, the number after 39 is 40, and eventually we got to get there, right? So might as there's 14,000 shares at $40. I think today is going to be a little tough to get there, but you know, let's see if we can close above this 39 level. That would be very, 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 very exciting to see. There were two big Tesla pieces of news. Okay, let me see if I can find it. Oh, the one, I don't know if this is one of the big ones, but there was the battery stuff they came out with, or that they're designing some new batteries. But I'm assuming there's some other stuff that was said today which caused it to decline. Tesla beats BYD to become the world's best-selling EV company in Q3. Okay, maybe that seems good news. There has to be some. Oh, Tesla plans $800 million debt sale backed by prime leases. Is that the reason it's down 4%? Oh, and the chief information officer is leaving. Correct. The chief information officer is leaving. I don't know if that matters, really. I don't know how important that person is to Tesla. And then they're planning an $800 million debt sale backed by prime leases. I would imagine to raise some money to an extent. I guess those two pieces of news got them a little bit down today. How about 3950? What's the resistance on that? Let me take a look at that. 3950 resistance is about 1,000 shares, but we'll probably see more shares pop up if we get to that level. 39, folks. We did it with 39. You know what's so funny? Actually, what I was doing, before I realized, oh my God, I should just go live because like we're so close to 39. I was literally watching a couple clips of Karp because I wanted to find the clip where he said we're going to take the market. And I haven't found that clip yet. I'm still trying to find it, but here's one clip I found. And I think you guys will love hearing this. It's been a while since we heard it. But I just heard it right before I went live, and I was like, oh my God, this was such an amazing clip. So take a listen to this. This is Karp talking about retail investors.
How do we have the best investors in the world, especially individual investors? Why do they stick with us when times were hard? Why do they fight for Palantir? Why do they, every time someone writes something in name, Palantir's gone MAGA, Palantir's doesn't have a product, Palantir doesn't have margins. I'm sure this quarter, Palantir's growth is decelerating despite the fact it's obviously we're obviously crushing it in America. Palantir is too crazy. Palantir will never be profitable. Palantir can't IPO. Palantir is too weird and odd to produce something that will be disruptive. We knew it was bullshit. The people who out on the front fighting against that BS, fighting against lazy, inept, discriminatory in the sense that is ignorance, people maligning Palantir, do it in great part because they believe that we are fighting for them, and we are, and we're fighting for ourselves, and that's why we have such a great company. So thank you.
Dude, I saw that clip literally 2 minutes before going live. And I was like, yes, I did start early today because I saw that Palantir was just going to get to 39. If you rewind all the way to the beginning of the stream, you'll see like I have 20 seconds to like start the stream, and like then boom, we hit 39 and I rang the bell. Watching that today just like reminded me like, oh my God, like Karp's been talking about retail investors for a long time. And he knows how much retail investors were fighting for the sanctity of the company when it was down in the dumps, and he's really appreciative of that. And obviously we're very appreciative of Palantir and the entire company working hard to execute against their mission. So exciting stuff. Couple updates we did have on Palantir. So this one was interesting. The CEO of Y Combinator, which is the largest accelerator for startups on the planet, for those that don't know, in Silicon Valley. Look at what he said today. Michael Siebel, this is also the co-founder of Twitch. The investing world is convinced that Palantir is an unscalable consulting company. For over a decade, very few competitors were funded as a result. Now that Palantir is a Fortune 500 company, aka S&P 500, investors need to wake up. Large enterprises and governments need customizable, deeply integrated software solutions. By the way, that was the critique of Palantir for so many years, that it's all custom, it's not something that's scalable, especially in the age of AI. At Y Combinator, I'm happy to fund startups who want to compete with Palantir. If seed investors want to make money, they will do the same. I mean, dude, that is just like, I saw that tweet today and I was like, oh my goodness. Like this is Michael Siebel, for those that don't know, is a pretty big rock star in the startup space. For him to say publicly, yeah, everyone thought Palantir was a consulting firm, and now look at Palantir. They're obviously building custom software solutions, which does involve consulting, but at the end of the day, these are 80% gross margins because it's a software business. You put those two together, this whole AI is going to commoditize SaaS. Well, I mean, it's not that easy for AI to commoditize SaaS when you have a custom solution built for a client, right? So The fact that he's willing to fund startups that want to compete against Palantir using the Palantir methodology, which is his job, right? He needs to find the next Palantir. I thought that was an amazing tweet. And that was some amazing recognition for Palantir this morning as well. Again, dude, the media recognition on Palantir, it is compounding from every single angle, whether it's Bill Maher, whether it's Forbes, whether it's the New York Times, whether it's people on Twitter. It's just like so much of it is compounding, and more people are getting excited for Palantir. So here's a question to the chat. Who's uneasy seeing $39? Who's scared and who feels this is way too quick, way too soon? And that it obviously needs a breather, and that you are kind of worried that it's running up ahead of itself. Like, who's feeling that? And then who's feeling the opposite of that, saying no, Palantir deserves to be at $39. I'm curious how people are thinking about it. How are you guys thinking about it in the chat? 39.08. Wow. It's actually, we got what, 10 minutes left? 15, 17 minutes? A close above 39 would be so freaking bullish, dude. Like, it would be pretty wild. Heavy D says too much too fast. Joseph says, I'm not uneasy. It's like, what do we do for those who haven't bought again? Classical Guitarist says, gonna have to manage my $37 calls. Ultimate Kyle says, not scared. My mom didn't raise a pussy. Okay, that's fair. Danielle says it's too fast. Edmund says, I think Palantir deserves to be 39 after OpenAI funding round closed at 157 billion. That could be another reason we are seeing the momentum right now. Again, I did my analysis this morning for why I think Palantir's up. I'll probably make a video about it later today, but I think it has to do with Nvidia and Accenture and their new partnership. And so I did a tweet about it as well. The really quick TLDR to not go super in depth. Jensen Huang, Accenture, Nvidia, they're creating a partnership to get generative AI in the enterprise. The idea is this unique go-to-market, 30,000 Accenture consultants trained on how to implement generative AI, which to me just signals, oh my God, there's so much demand for generative AI. Accenture just did $1 billion of revenue as a consulting firm, not a tech company, a consulting firm for generative AI solutions in the past 90 days. I think the market's buying Palantir because if they think, all right, so there's all this demand for Gen AI in the enterprise, which NVIDIA's partnership with Accenture is validating, then what's the software company that should be getting some of that demand, maybe even a bulk of that demand? It's Palantir. It's freaking Palantir. And so because it's Palantir, I think that's why we're seeing this 4% momentum. I mean, that's the only reason I can give for why we're seeing a 4% surge. The S&P is red. The NASDAQ's red. Small caps are red. Palantir's up 4%. It's outperforming NVIDIA. I mean, to me, that means that the market is front-running software growth in the enterprise based on the announcement that NVIDIA had yesterday. And that's why we're getting some momentum with Palantir. Arnold says, I'm scared, too fast, too high. Bay Ray says, I am still writing covered calls. It needs to chill out. I do honestly believe we can get to 100 next year, though. There's a good chance. Pepega says, yeah, prices too fast probably, but why sell? I see no reason to sell except valuation. The thesis is still strong. I love that comment. I see no reason to sell Palantir outside of the valuation. And if that's the only reason, aka a company's getting overvalued to sell it, when it's transformational, generational technology, and you either believe that or you don't. I personally believe that. I think we've done plenty of content to prove that it is generational technologies. If you believe that, then valuation can't be the reason. You know, maybe you trim a little bit or whatever, but like to completely get out of the position because of valuation. There was a couple accounts on Twitter that sold out of the entire Palantir position at $30.90 because they thought it was getting ridiculous. And I can understand that. But these are people that have 10, 20,000 shares that are getting rid of everything. And I don't know, at some point, if you understand the company, you kind of, you accept a little bit of the overvaluation. You kind of just go for the ride, and you know, trying to time it again if it falls back to 20 is just, it's a hard game to play. Especially when something normalizes as an overvalued company. So when something normalizes as quote unquote overvalued, it stays overvalued. Like it stays as a normal and people just accept, okay, that company is always going to be overvalued. You know, that's how the market perception forms around it. And it is what it is. It literally, I mean, we've seen this happen time and time again. So I do think that selling purely on valuation maybe is not the best idea, but I understand for people that want to trim based on the valuation. Lee says the thing is, it is not overvalued. Well, that's the other perceptual debate, right? You could argue it is overvalued based on the valuation. You could also argue it is going to grow into the valuation and then perceptually be undervalued at 80 billion if the growth is the growth that a lot of us think it can get to, which is upwards of 50, 60%. I mean, if they start growing 60% next year, yeah, it's not sitting at 80 billion, folks. We are 100 billion and beyond. And we're probably passing OpenAI if we start growing at 50, 60%. Like, and even if those numbers theoretically don't make sense, it doesn't matter, because when you're growing, compounding above 30%, and when you start getting into that 50, 60, 70% range, what other assets on the planet grow at upwards of 50, 60% without using margin or leverage? There's real estate doesn't really do that, right? Unless you have a specific type of real estate. Crypto does, but that's incredibly volatile, right? Like, there's not many assets that grow that much. And so people are willing to pay a premium to find those assets at the end of the day. Keep talking. It's literally going up as you do. Chakoti, thank you for the 249 euros. Do you think Tesla's worth buying now until 1010? I mean, look, if you're bullish on Tesla, then yeah, Tesla, like, if you have a long-term trajectory here, Tesla getting a little bit of a green candle right here. I don't know what 1010 is going to look like, dude. I don't know if it's sell the news or not. I don't know how to predict if it is. I'm going to stick with the same thing I've been saying for a while, Palantir 3912. If Elon announces a specific thing, like a specific plan, I think investors like it. They can adjust their valuation models and Tesla goes up because they can price in the growth. If he doesn't, then I think it's going to be a little hard to see momentum for Tesla. So if you're long-term, yeah, I think, you DCA, but buying it just before 1010 because you think 1010 will be a pump, you just don't know. You don't know if that'll happen. Thomas says, I can't see Palantir growing at anything above 35% for a prolonged period of time. There's literally no way it compounds at 50%, maybe 1 year of that growth, but not going to compound. Yeah, it's probably not going to grow for 10 years at 50%. But if it can hit a influx or a climax of 50 to 60 and then go to like 40 and then 38, 37, if the declining growth is still above 30% for the next couple of years after having a really big year, like in an Nvidia year, Nvidia's not going to grow at 200% next year, right? But if they still grow at 70%, that's still pretty damn good. So I think that's what we're trying to look at when it comes to Palantir. 39.16. 39.16, folks. There's 22,000 shares at 39.19. So if someone can buy those 20,000 shares, we might have a chance to get into the 39.20s. And maybe we continue to get there. We still got 10 minutes left, but let's see how this plays out and if we can consolidate and close above this 39 level. What else do we have? I mean, you said this morning there was no wall at 39. Yes, so there was no wall at 39 in the morning. By around 1 p.m., the wall was 20,000 shares. So someone ate up that wall. Even the wall, right? Like at 3:32, right before I went live, the wall was also 20. Let me show you guys. The wall was 20,000 shares, 21,000. And so someone ate that up like at 3:32 or 3:33. There it is right there. You see at 39. When did I post this? I posted this at 12:40. So there's 21,000 shares right there. And that lasted, those 21,000 shares lasted literally until 20 minutes ago. And then someone ate it up. Why is it going up? So again, the reason it's going up right now, for those that are just tuning in, I've made a long post about it. I'll put it in the chat. But I believe the Jensen Huang partnership, why am I saying Jensen Huang? The Nvidia partnership, even though Jensen Huang is Nvidia, that partnership, I believe, is what's creating momentum for Palantir, because the market's basically saying, hey, if there is all this demand for generative AI in the enterprise, then what company is going to capture that demand? Nvidia basically Nvidia gave Palantir an alley today, and then Palantir ooped it. For those that understand a little bit about basketball, Nvidia gave them an alley, and then Palantir ooped it. The alley was, hey, Gen AI, massive explosion of demand. We're partnering with Accenture, and we're like having this unique go-to-market. And so they tossed it up, and then Palantir took that ball and they dunked it. And I think that resulted in 4% up, breaking through 39, because the market's like, okay, if there's all this demand, they're going to go to, 4 or 5 players, maybe only a couple, maybe 2, 3 players. Palantir is definitely on that list. And if there's all this damn demand, Palantir is getting some of it, if not a ton of it. So we're buying it up before that becomes actualized in their earnings. Now, again, to show a little bit of caution here, if we have a number that is below 30% on Q3 earnings, or 25%, just numbers that really don't match the high expectations for this company now, $87 billion market cap, yeah, we could definitely be humbled. But if Q3 earnings is good, I mean, the hardest decision is, do you buy before Q3 or not? Like, do you buy some shares before Q3 if it busts through, or do you like chill out and buy the dip on Q3? Like, I don't think anyone knows. I do believe we will get a reacceleration. If I had to bet, I would say it's a reacceleration and Q3 is good. Even if the stock doesn't go higher, I think Q3 is good. But I think that generative AI demand is being front run right now by the market, and that's why they're buying up Palantir. So that is why I believe the stock is going higher. And that's the momentum that I'm seeing right now. Again, I know the valuation for a lot of people. I know a lot of people in the chat are like, "This is crazy. This makes no sense." I get it. I get it. 36 times price to sales, PE of 230. Yes, really tough to justify. But I think we've done a pretty good job on this channel trying to explain the thesis on Palantir outside of the numbers, which is required at moments when the numbers may not make sense, but there's a broader story that is painted. And I'll make another video on daily Palantir today. I'll go more in depth on it and upload it when I kind of recap why it's surging from this Nvidia Jensen, from this Nvidia Accenture stuff. But I think there's a qualitative argument here that, by the way, matches up to the numbers. By the way, Amir, you guys definitely got to go watch Amir's latest. I just did a podcast with Amir. We recorded it a couple hours ago. It'll come out next week. I'm gonna link his. I'm gonna link his video in the chat. And if you go to his channel and you are so kind enough to subscribe, please leave a comment under his latest video. The video is right there. And please subscribe to his channel. This guy is one of the hardest working guys when it comes to understanding the valuation of Palantir. It's a 30-minute video. He goes over the numbers very, very in depth, very, very in depth. Highly recommend subscribing to him, following him, and leaving a comment under his video. And his fair value is around $36.57 after the estimates that he put in. So if you think the fair value is $36.50 and Palantir's at 39, it's like, all right, it's like a $3 overvalued. That's not crazy. But if you think fair value is like 27, then it's really overvalued. So the question becomes, what is the fair value? And that's where obviously you have to do some, due diligence and try to come to that conclusion for yourself. But that video, I think, does a really good job breaking down the numbers as well. All right, that's what we got right here. We got about 5 minutes until the market closes. 39.20 on Palantir. It does look like we will close above 39, which is pretty cool. And I mean, dude, the $39 close. Wow, 39.23. The $39 close, guys. We haven't had that close since. I'm gonna give you the exact number right now, exact date. We have not had a $39 close. The exact date is January 28th, 2021. So it's been more than 3 years closing at 39. That would be pretty cool. Beneficial says, you want to say it's more than pretty cool. That would be pretty freaking cool, dude. That would be pretty cool. That's wild, bro. That's kind of wild. I can't imagine what do you guys think Carp is feeling right now, dude? Like, that's like, he's looking at the stock, bro. There's no way he's not looking at the stock right now. There's no way. There's no way he's not just like, damn, that's $39. That's, he's probably thinking like, shit, I should have waited to sell till we got to 39 instead of 35. That's dude. Insiders, Carp and Teal sold $1 billion worth of stock. And today, you as a retail investor can sell at a higher price than the insiders. That does not happen in the stock market. You don't get a better entry price than the big guys. That doesn't happen. Or sorry, exit price. That's just like, that just does not happen. It's not a thing. Usually you have to hold their bag. And like, this is like just not the case right now with Palantir. There's so much liquidity, so much demand for these shares that you actually have a better price. Magusto627, thank you for the $5 Canadian. Thanks for everything, Amit. Truly appreciate your coverage. Thank you guys every day for being here, tuning into the channel, joining the streams. Means the world to me. It gives me the coolest job to do on the planet. So thank you everybody for being here today and keeping up with the channel. Have they bought back shares? That's a good question. I don't think Palantir is buying back their stock. Now, if they are, if on Q3 earnings, Palantir says, hey, we bought back 1 million shares. Last time they bought back 1 million shares as well, they spent, I think, 22 million. If they buy back 1 million shares, probably at 30, they spend 30 million. They have $1 billion authorized. That means they think they're undervalued at these levels. I mean, if they bought back stock at 34 or 35 or 36, that means they think they're undervalued at these levels, which is kind of crazy, right? If they think they're undervalued at 34, 35, 36, then it's like, hold on. Maybe the growth is going to match higher estimates than what the street is thinking, which then obviously means, the stock can go higher. So we will see. We will see how that plays out. All right, we got the market close in 3 minutes. I will be bringing up a couple Palantir employees onto the channel as well. So thank you everybody for being here. They will be talking about Palantir's newest project, which is called Devcon, essentially AIPCon for developers. And it's going to be about 30-minute discussion for them to go in depth on what is Devcon, why does it matter, all that good stuff. So in about 3 minutes, we'll get them live on stage. And it'll be really cool for people that want to know more about the product and the technicals, less about the numbers and valuation, which we talk about all the time. This will hopefully be a good segment to go deeper into Palantir. All right, not too bad. 39.26 as we as we get into the close. We got about a minute 20 seconds left into the close. Robinhood right here 22.48. Tesla 240 down about 3%. IWM is down. Qs are down. S&P down. I tweeted today. S&P is down. Qs are down. Small caps are down. Palantir is up. I feel like the market has a crush on Palantir. I mean, all three indices that are down for the day usually would have Palantir down, but nope. The market has Palantir green. Rocket Lab down about 4.7% on the day. Eli Lilly down about 0.5%. Bitcoin right there back up to that $61,000 level. And you got Palantir that in about 45 seconds, folks, looks like it's going to make its largest close since January of 2021, which is pretty damn exciting. Pretty exciting in the world of Palantir. Austin says, my gray Palantir shirt just came in the mail. Awesome. Yeah, I love it. Store.palantir.com for those that want to get the Palantir merch. Shout out to Iliano for relaunching that. That a lot of people have been texting me pictures of their Palantir merch, which is super cool. All right, folks, here we go. Thursday, October 3rd, 4 p.m. The stock market once again is closed, and Palantir has closed above $39 for the first time in over 3 years. Not a bad close for Palantir. Pretty damn exciting. $39.25. Congrats to all shareholders on today. Exciting stuff. And there you go. $39.25. Again, you can rewind this market close and you can talk a little bit about the logic for why Palantir is up if you're just joining. If not, I will be posting a daily Palantir video probably in the next 3 hours that goes more in depth into what Nvidia announced yesterday with Accenture, which is my theory for why the stock may have gone up about 4% on the day. All right, so that's what we got on the stock, but enough about the stock because the stock is not a stock without an actual company attached to it. And I am very honored and privileged to have 3 Palantir employees on the market close today talk a little bit more about what they're doing with this company and how they are developing a really cool new project called Devcon. We've got Chad. You guys all know Chad. We've got Jeg. Jeg, what's up? And we've got Ankit. What's up, guys?
Yeah.
Hey, it's good, man. Not a bad day to join.
Not a bad day to join. Not a bad day at all.
Yes. Well, thanks for having us, Amit, man. This is cool. I'm glad we got to be live on stream with you here, especially on a day like this.
Absolutely. This is super cool. All right. So Devcon, I got a lot of questions. Want to go deeper into it and kind of talk about what it is. Before we get started with all that, my channel does know Chad, because he's becoming the next social media superstar. He did a Twitter Spaces today with a bunch of people. That was awesome. Jeg and Ankit, you guys are new to my channel, so we'll start with you, Ankit. How long have you been working at Palantir, and what do you do at the company?
Yeah, I joined Palantir about 12 years ago, so relatively early on the commercial team. And I worked a bunch on the 0 to 1 around our commercial product, just figuring out where our learnings from the government space could be applied to the commercial world. And today I am the AIP product lead. So I spend most of my time focused on figuring out how we can use AI and apply that to the problems that our customers have.
And we met in the elevator at AIPCon, if you remember.
that is true. The elevator and then the reception. So yeah.
Okay, Jeg, how long have you been at the company and what do you do at Palantir?
Yeah, I joined in 2019. I was a forward deployed engineer. Funnily enough, the first code I saw was Ankit's. I pointed, I don't know what direction he is. And then since 2020, I've been a dev on the platform, and I've been there long enough to be one of our developer experience leads.
Okay, I love it. And Chad, although everyone knows what you do, you can give yourself a little introduction as well. What do you do at Palantir?
I'm an architect, I guess, chief Twitter guy. I don't know. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. But I work across commercial and do everything from kind of the education and outreach from our videos and demos to helping customers understand how to use AIP and Foundry in our tools, and then a little bit of anything else in between. So plus, I get to work with these guys on product stuff. So like, get to see the cool new stuff they're building, I get excited about, or when I try to use stuff, I'm like, hey, we should do this. Like, these are the guys that are helping drive and build it. So anything good I show is usually, led and driven by guys like this and developers out inside of Palantir.
Okay, I love it. All right, so first question for all of you. We got a lot to dive into in the context of Devcon, but what is Devcon? What was the purpose and philosophy of kind of starting this thing, and how do you guys see it evolving over the next couple of years in terms of getting more developers to really evangelize the product? A lot of people here in this chat, they know the company. They obviously have studied the valuation and numbers of the stock itself. But at the end of the day, if developers aren't using the software Foundry AIP, then the company means nothing. And you guys are at the forefront of getting those developers to see the value of Palantir Foundry. So we'll start with you, Ankit. What was the motivation to start Devcon?
Yeah, so I think for me, going through the early days of our product being applied in commercial, Palantirians are naturally pretty skeptical. So going into it, I think even myself, I wasn't really a believer in the product until I saw it really work with with one of the customers that I was working with really closely. I had contributed many lines of code to the product, and I still didn't believe it worked until I could really see it actually being used and driving something in production. And so that was a flipping point where it was like, oh man, this is real, and we're gonna have to. There's a long journey ahead of us to make this the product and platform that you know today. But I think that I had a similar moment with our developer platform this year. So it's a realization that actually this is something that is pretty differentiated and is, I think, really valuable for me as the consumer in a lot of ways, which I think for our products, it's like we as individuals can see how it's applied at our customers, but as developers, it's much more personal. We're building for ourselves, and so that is something that I'm pretty excited about.
Okay, Jeg, your motivations for contributing to start Devcon?
Yeah, I think there's a lot similar here. Basically, as I've been working on the product for so long, my whole experience has been like, yeah, what can we do for the product to actually make it work for enterprise, make it work for customer A? And that is very motivational, but there was a turning point where I got access to the product for myself in my own personal time. And I was like, damn, like actually there's so much I can do with this stuff.
Can you take us into that moment back at, this was what, 2019, 2020? What was that aha moment when you thought it was?
So the moment I started using Palantir personally was literally the start of this year, 2024. We were doing like an internal sort of product for friends thing where you could try it just before we started moving into AIP dev tier as you see it today. And I was shockingly finding myself using the software I was building on weekends, embarrassingly, building all of my side projects on it. And I found like my personal project stack just moved from all of the classic cloud providers to just being Palantir. And it's kind of just been like nothing but hype for me. Like it's hard for me to say anything else, but the product can do so much that I just find myself building random stuff all the time.
we kind of hit that point of the dopamine hit from using it. I last night went to bed at 3:30 because I was like, I can just add one more thing to this OSDK thing that I'm building, and I regret it this morning. But it's definitely got that addictive thing for devs now, which I think it means it's going to be, I think, a lot more useful too.
Which I think is the key. Is the difference is the focus isn't just on the tools. The focus is on that I'm building cool shit that matters quickly in scalable and sustainable ways. And so it's like, is the outcome focus of developers, not just I built this technically cool thing. It's like, holy crap, I did something like that had a really cool outcome really quickly. That value add addiction is like the dopamine hit I see. It's like, if I can show up at a boot camp or at home on the weekend and like build something that's just fucking cool, like it's awesome.
I think this is the huge difference for me, which is like, I used to start a project and then spend the whole day thinking what my tech stack was going to be. I'd be like, oh, what database am I going to use? How am I going to do vector databases? Because that's new. And
right
now I just don't think about that stuff. I just build things.
Yep.
Okay, so Anke, can you tell me about this? Because you said you didn't sleep till 3 a.m. last night. Neither did I. But I didn't sleep till 3 a.m. because I was up writing a long Twitter post about a valuation model on a stock, not Palantir, that I really care about. And I spent a long time writing this post. And there was a bit of dopamine there because I'm a finance nerd, where I was putting the numbers together and it made sense. And then I pressed post and I kind of saw what people thought about my valuation projection. Can you guys take me deeper into what is the dopamine unlock for a developer? You guys are launching Devcon. What do you want devs to kind of feel when they're working with Foundry and AIP that gets them to stay up till 3 a.m. to keep working?
I think for me, it's bringing the workflows that are interesting in the platform and bringing them to other places. Like one of the things that I was doing is that I have a little launcher that I use for on my Mac. I hit Command Space. It's kind of like Spotlight, and I already have this semantic search for GitHub issues workflow that I've built in AIP, but I don't want to have to open a new browser tab, open the workshop module, go and load up. What I want is I want to hit Command Space, search issues, start typing, and get better search than GitHub search. Like GitHub search is fine, but it's like what I really need is like I don't know the name of the issue. I gotta figure out how to actually go and get the things that I use in my day to day to be where I use them, and that I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Chad, anything on that?
You want to talk
Chad,
about? Should we want to talk about Devcon a little bit? What is it? And you referenced it a few times. Maybe we should fill in people of what it is.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into this video. So here's a video Palantir put together on what Devcon is. We'll take a look at this together, and then we'll talk more about Devcon.
Week into the fellowship, and you're probably starting to think about what your submission is going to look like. Today, I want to provide you with an example of what a good submission could look like. Our recommendation is to keep it under 3 minutes, so I'm going to try to do exactly that. First, I'm going to anchor it in the problem and craft a narrative around how my solution solves that problem. So what's the problem? I moved to Denver 2 years ago, and part of why I moved out here was because I wanted to spend more time in the mountains, doing hikes, climbing up the 14ers, all of that kind of mountaineering stuff that Colorado is so known for. The challenge is that there's hundreds of different websites. There's 14ers.com, there's Reddit, there's Summit Post, there's all these places where people report what the conditions of a mountain are and what their experience was. I wanted to consolidate all of those into a single view so that a user can look at the mountains near them, the reviews for that mountain recently being climbed, and a summarized report of what the conditions currently are. So I did exactly that. Let's check it out. What I've built is a tool for visualizing all of the mountains near me and the reviews of those mountains from those disparate sites across the internet. This is me in blue here in the middle in Denver. Let's say this weekend I'm planning a trip out to my favorite part of the state, the Collegiate Peaks region near Buena Vista. That's this county down here. When I click on it, it's going to show me all of the major peaks nearby. And let's say that I want to finish all 3 of the main collegiate peaks. Mount Harvard is my last one to tackle. So this weekend, I'm going to go climb it. When I click on this object on the map, it's going to grab every review of that mountain, and then it's going to generate an AIP created summary of those reviews so I can get an at-a-glance view. It looks like there's a lot of icy patches, some steep drop-offs, and I'm going to need a four-wheel drive vehicle for access. when I finish the mountain, what I can do is I can come down here and write my own review and say, this was a great hike. And after I submit it, it's going to change the pin to a green color so that I know I have climbed this mountain. It's that simple. It's a tool for tracking the mountains I've climbed and giving myself kind of a consolidated view of all of the reviews. Let's peel back the hood a little bit here. There's 3 main parts of my app. First is this ontology pipeline. This takes raw county and peak and review data and turns it into ontologized objects. At the bottom down here, I use native geospatial tooling to generate my county outputs. My county outputs are then clickable on my map, and I do all sorts of cleaning to generate peak and review data that can be used in the application. Next, I have an AIP logic function that takes in a set of reviews and generates a summary based on those reviews. You can see it over here on the right where I'm summarizing this review. Finally,
hey, Matt, can you stop it real quick?
It's actually quite simple.
Yeah.
Can you back it up to a few things here? I want to step through a couple of these because I think Jag and Ankit can actually we can talk through some of the technicalities of it. But actually, you know what? Before we go into the video here, can I just give a recap of what Devcon actually is?
Yes.
And then we'll go through the video.
Yep.
Okay, so you can see these are the stuff we're talking about in the video here is things we want people to submit. It's ideas. We want people to be creative. So Devcon, it's our first developer conference. It's really focused on, so we've got our top developers at all of our existing customers. They're coming. But we have this thing called the Devcon Fellowship that's going to be open to the public where people can submit their ideas. So what you just saw there was an example submission for Devcon. So you can go sign up for AIP, build your stuff, submit a 2 to 3 minute video through the entry form that Amit's showing here, and you can get a chance to actually come build with us for 2 days. And so this you have to have done by October 16th and submit it, and then we'll go through all the best submissions and pick the winners, who will then get a chance to come actually build with us. And so 2 days, we're going to launch new products. You're going to have competitive and collaborative building together. So building out new ideas with some of these best developers, the best AIP developers across the world will be there, along with our product team. I'll be there. Jag and Ankit will be there. And the goal is really building that community of ideas and how we can actually go execute differently. And then what that developer experience is. So getting people into not just, hey, these are cool outcomes. So if you think about AIPCon, it's about the business outcomes of what we're driving. Here, this is about how do we enable developers, whether you're at a large enterprise or you're a 2-person bootstrap startup, the same people using the same tools. And so the dev tier is that you sign up for as part of DevCon here. It is the full-fledged platform. The only thing you have a restriction on is the number of users and computing LLM tokens. It is the full set of tools that you can go in there and play with. And so, I think just so people can understand, that's amazing. Normally to have access that you had to be a part of a massive enterprise going through a long process to get, you can literally just go to the site that you put in there, sign up, get an account, and then go build stuff. And so the goal out of here is for the fellowship is to find some of the best creative ideas and get people out there and coming. So we want people to have creativity and come up with ideas. What do you want to build? And maybe we'll share a few ideas that Jag and Ankit and I have about things we want to go build for this. But then there will be some judging. When I said competitive building, we're going to have a little fun and have some competitive building across teams. And we might have a few surprise judges people will be excited about. So that's the idea of what DevCon is. The DevCon Fellowship is for people out in the community to also come along with these enterprise customers. So hopefully that gives a frame of what DevCon is.
The idea that you have to build something to get to get accepted into DevCon. Can you speak on that? What was the idea of making that the invitation process?
Well, builders want to be around builders. I think that's you want to be able to talk to people who are actually building real stuff, and so that's kind of the gate that we set up for it.
And if you know Amit, on our Twitter feed between Sham and others, if you build cool shit and post about it on X, and you tag me or Sham or Ted or whoever, that, people have gotten jobs that way. So just excitement of we look for builders that are out there passionate, excited. That's what we're going after.
Yeah, I think that's the exciting thing when I saw this idea. It's an invite-only accelerator program bringing together about 150 of some of the most ambitious builders. You've got to build to get in. And then if you really build some really cool shit, you might get a job at one of the most exclusive places to get a job on the planet, which is Palantir. Okay, cool. So this video, we don't have to actually play the video itself, but like what he built, can you, at a high level, can you explain what he built, and then we'll get into the ontology part. So what is this Colorado map app that he built?
Jake, when do you guys want to do it?
This is classic Palantirian in the Denver office, because I'm surprised that no one has given him shit for talking about 14ers, but bringing in all the different hikes and peaks that are available, and then a bunch of other things like reviews, putting in one place so it's useful for him. And I think like that's kind of the idea behind the Devcon fellowship is like, hey, build something that would be fun for you to build and interesting for you to build. And going through and having stuff like, hey, here's the pipeline for it when he's showing that. I think that's a kind of is the acceleration you get with being able to build this in AIP, where a lot of this is things that you can maybe do outside of AIP, and maybe each of the individual pieces you can put together, but putting together a chunking and embedding pipeline, which then also is indexed, and being able to then query it and use it and then have that generate an SDK for you. And all of those individual pieces, when it comes together, makes it a really nice experience. One, just build really quickly, but two, also have it in a way that can start building on top of each other. Because now he's got these reviews in here. He's got the peaks. He's got his own history of where he's been and hasn't been. Maybe that starts compounding with another application where maybe he wants to put together something that's like, hey, I want to put together a weekend trip planner or something, and I can take advantage of some of this information that's already in here. Maybe he wants to go in and use it for something else, and kind of can keep building on it. That's that. You know, you're probably tired of hearing the word ontology, but that's the thesis behind that.
I think there's some pretty cool stuff in this video as well. It's like when I first saw it, I was there trying to go through my head of how he built it and like what app, like what framework he was using, and then he goes to workshop, and I'm like, oh damn, he used the hack and used our workshop like application builder, and even like the GeoPoint stuff where you look at that pipeline and it looks like there's complexity there, but like some of the parts where he's just like, and then I just made polygons. I wouldn't be shocked if he just like rapidly sped through building this thing. It's great.
Yeah. So can we speak to this question? I'm Beneficial here says, how can I build or develop something using AIP? And then we have friend of the channel, Jack Dobson, also employee of Palantir, saying that the app you're seeing was built without code. If someone doesn't know how to code, should they be a little worried about building with AIP, or should they embrace the process of using AIP?
I think they should embrace it. It's like when you're asking how do I get started building with AIP, I'm sure there's a link that will come somewhere. But basically, it's kind of wild. You just go on our website and you put your credit card in, and we won't charge you. That's just to know who you are. But after that, it's literally just start clicking around, going through the platform.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's interesting is even if you can code, it's often faster to put together your first prototype in like Workshop or something like that, where you can use some of the no-code tools for doing things there. So maybe you start with a no-code thing, see, okay, does this work? Does this do what I want it to do? And you can iterate from there. And then later, when you're like, actually, I want this to be super custom, or I want this to look and feel exactly how I want, or I want to bring it into some application I already have, or then you can go and add code for that. But by that point, you've already proven out, okay, it kind of does what I want. And in some cases, you can fool people. Jag was fooled that this wasn't even a workshop module, but.
But I think that the key here is some of the best builders we see are domain experts that have enough understanding about how the data and the logic and the actions of the business fit together, that they have the tools to go build in there. And like the cool thing on a pipeline builder is like you have the same scalable backend to whether it's a few rows of data, or it's a massive pipeline, or it's multimedia data, like the same backend, same tools. So whether you're doing like really simple stuff or really sophisticated stuff, it scales with you. So the cool thing is if you build something really simple and you start scaling, you're not having to re-platform, retry things. And so if you're a domain expert in a business, you know how it works, you can get in there and build. And that's honestly some of the best like builders I see is when they already know how everything is, and now we supercharge them with the tools that they can use.
And there are just like new building blocks that we didn't have even a year ago that give you a lot more flexibility to do that. Things like compute modules, where it's okay, you can start with some of the out of the box building blocks that we give you, but then eventually you want to go and do something totally custom on the back end. You can do that. You can bring your own Docker container. You can even build that Docker container in the platform and then have it be good to go and deploy it as part of your ontology. You can say, all right, actually that Docker container exposes some functions, and those functions I now want to use in my OSDK app or in Worktrap or wherever else. And so it kind of stitches together with the existing things that you already have in there. And so that kind of stuff gives you a lot more flexibility.
Yeah, I think like, I don't know if people have seen my SongShare app. I'm really trying to pitch it out there so that I get some users. But I had a music classifier, like a model that took my songs and then said whether they were country music or not. And unfortunately, AIP doesn't come with that feature out of the box. Maybe one day we will. But for now, I can like put that in a Docker container and just slap it onto the platform. And that was like really rapid to build, while I could still use all of the tools we saw on screen.
And the purpose of building that app was because you have a relationship with music, I imagine. So it's something that you would actually use.
Yeah, it was quite funny because I built an app for me, and then we used it promotionally. But it was, all of that was built on the like AIP dev tier. I built that all with the free tier, not some enterprise license, not some special license.
Huh.
The
Okay.
guitars behind him are not for show, apparently.
But you bring up a point, like, okay, we want people to be passionate, but I also want to see people building stuff that isn't just like, I'm ingesting data, I run a pipeline, I put it in ontology, I create a cool dashboard. Like that's cool. But like, show us compute modules, show us the OSDK applications, create a custom application on top of, like, show us the things that are kind of out of the standard, like data application, BI.
Chad, can you give an example to kind of humanize it? What is an example of an application that doesn't use the standard data pipeline ontology stuff, but is actually built on AIP that is something you would be impressed by as a judge?
Well, so Jag and Anki and I were talking about this, and so maybe they can chime in too. But like, Jag was wanting to make like a to-do app, something for himself that's bi-directional. It's taking action, and then we were riffing on it, like, can I have a Suri integration where I can just talk to it? It goes into AIP, it classifies it, creates a note, and then Ankit wants to put it in Obsidian. Like, can people actually make all these integrations orchestrated through AIP? Like, that would be cool.
Yeah, I think especially like right back to the sources you already use today, right? Like if I'm already doing stuff, and I use Obsidian for taking notes, make it so that I can continue writing notes in Obsidian, but then use OSDK to go and maybe add that to the ontology too. So then I can say, all right, it's the end of the day. I've been barfing whatever random stream of consciousness into my notes. Let's take that and make it so that stream of consciousness, I can pluck out all the to-dos that I have to do, and then make that actually maybe show up in Jag's to-do app, and then make that be something I can actually use to then start building on top of, to say, okay, well now I have my to-dos, I have my notes. Can I start figuring out, like, when I'm going into, bring in my calendar, so when I'm going into a meeting, I want to know, like, hey, what's all the things that I said I would talk to this person about? Because I maybe took some random notes about it a while ago, but I don't know if I put it in my notes before that person or follow up. Like, go find that for me.
I mean, I'd want you to take it a step further, right? Like, I don't even want to have that meeting with you. I want you to like synthesize all of that text into a summary and then send it to me as a voice note that's been auto-generated with text to speech, so that I can just like listen to that podcast and then we don't have to talk.
Jag, you can't get out of meeting me. That's not. So AIP to cancel meetings, I could get behind that.
Dude, I think that's a multi-billion-dollar idea. If AIP can cancel meetings in corporate America,
Yeah, we all just put our stream of thoughts down, and then the model will say if we're agreed or not.
But in the enterprise context, like, make an Excel plugin for with OSDK. Like, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. You see the guys out there, Jason Basteman and the Boundless Discovery guys. They're starting a company ontologizing news. Like, that's really cool stuff. So I mean, it's just like, let the creativity flow. It's not just a business data analytics thing is what we're getting after. Like, you can see these rich applications and other ways to do things.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're living in the age of AI. AI is everywhere. AIP, right? You can't go anywhere without learning about AI. You guys, all three of you, are actual builders in the age of AI. Is this the best time in the history of humanity to be a builder?
Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, things are just getting easier, right? It's like if I was to measure, then I'd say probably tomorrow or after that will be even better. But literally, this product is getting better every day, and like the accessibility to AI is just incredible. Like it's something that I studied at university, and then it was like one course that I was never going to go near, and I never thought I'd be working with AI in any capacity. But the ability to like access it, use it in real world scenarios, do the dumb stuff we're talking about, and also the enterprise capabilities. I shouldn't just mention like the crazy ideas we have. Like it's wild that anyone can do this literally just by getting a product for free.
Yeah, I think it's been difficult, and this is kind of the goal behind our developer effort is like, how do you actually make your enterprise programmable?
Right.
And what does that mean? It's like, oh, well, I probably have 100 different systems with a bunch of different ways of interacting with them. I probably have 50 browser tabs open to do any one task. Whereas being able to actually go and say, I can, one, integrate with those things, two, now like bring AI into the story, and then three, be able to put that back into those systems. That is something that is how you actually take advantage of that promise of AI. Like I think there is a lot of this weight on, okay, is it actually going to be transformative for your business? Is it going to be able to let you actually accomplish the goals that you're trying to do? And to do that, you need to be able to actually get into where you're making decisions. You need to go into the tools that you use every day. And for that, you need to have that kind of developer tooling.
I think one of the things that you kind of highlighted there was like, it actually lets you test the tangibility of some of these things. Like sometimes I'll walk into a room and someone will be like, yeah, but let's do this with AI. It's like a meme. But I think the thing that you can do with AIP is actually like test if it works with AI. Like we're not at the limits of what AI can do today, but you can actually see if a workflow will work, how much your workflow can be improved, and actually iterate on it using our platform.
Yeah,
Right.
which brings up the point of like when you talk about like how exciting it is to be a builder. I mean, you guys saw that the architecture Tower of Babel video I did. It's like as these hyperscalers and all these services start to come together, it only is more difficult because you're still in a single hyperscaler stitching their own tools together. You're spending all your time stitching tools instead of building the outcome you want. And I think that's why I'm excited about like AIP is like the tools just work together and you're not spending your time stitching. And so like imagine all the time you know instead of spending a week setting up a vector database for all of your embeddings and pipelines, what happens if you did that in 5 minutes in a pipeline inside of AIP? Like, okay, well, what am I gonna do with the rest of the week? I'm gonna build meaningful shit. Like that's the difference why I get excited about it is we're taking all that friction out of there that is between tools, and like now you just move at the speed you're thinking.
AWS, GCP, all these platforms have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of developers. Palantir is in its infancy with Foundry and AIP getting to that scale. Do you guys think Devcon is your first real attempt of beginning that process to get millions of developers using the software?
Yeah, it's our first way that we want to sit side by side by people in the public that are not just like existing customers even. It's the people that are curious or interested before you had to go through a long process to even get access to any of the tools. So the fact that now you can get it for free, cool. You can go sign up for it, cool. But now you can go to DevCon and sit next to us and like we can show you all the intuition of the things we've learned. Like that's the coolest thing about being able to use the product is you build the intuition about what AI can do for your business, yourself. And so like the fact with DevCon is you're going to sit against some of the best developers in the world from all these different companies along with our product teams. Like that's a pretty cool experience. That's why like I'm excited about the fellowship. Beyond that is like we want like just in the retail community here online, it's like we want the retail community, like we want the dev community alongside the enterprise developer community, right? As we want everybody.
And it's like developers are not going to go and look at a presentation to figure out if like a thing is actually useful or work for them. It's like we had the first version of the Devcon page when we were workshopping it internally, and my number one criticism was like, how you have to have code above the fold. Like you have to, like the first thing I want to see is code. Otherwise, I just don't care. And so I think part of the goal here is let's just show you. Let's show you what it's like. Let's actually build the thing. It's fast enough that you can just do it instead of having to talk about it or convince you that it's a good idea or kind of sell the shape of it. We'll just show you what building with it is like.
So I know we're running up on time here where we're going to have to drop a bit, but I want to make sure that people understand, like, yes, there is a select crew of people that are coming to Devcon from our customers, but this is open. The only way for people from the public to get to go to Devcon is through the fellowship, which means you got to go build shit. You got till the 16th to go build stuff.
The 16th, October, so 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks, 16th October. There is no reason people cannot build in their free time some really cool stuff that we talked about today and have it submitted before the 16th. And like, please, I mean, you can share a private YouTube link in here, but like, it's more fun to post on X and tag us in it and let's talk about it. Or if you've got ideas, tag us in there and we'll ideate with you. So
also, you guys are paying for some of people's trips to DevCon if they win.
Yes,
right?
so the fellowship does. I mean, it goes to the details on the website about how much and all the pay. But yes, it is. We're going to pay for flights and hotels and lots of different pieces of it. All the details are on the site there. But yeah, this is like, you know, a paid trip to come develop with us and some of the best AIP developers from the top enterprises in the world.
I love it. I love it so much. Before you guys leave, I have to ask one question because I know my chat is going to kill me if I don't ask this question to Ankit and Jag. This word, the ontology, how special is that word to you guys? And is it the thing that keeps you believing that Palantir truly is one of the world's biggest secrets in terms of how powerful the software is?
That word is magic. You know, we love it every time we hear it.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where you go through the midwit meme of going from like that's like interesting to like it's, I don't know, it's a made up word that no one knows what it means, doesn't really convey the idea, back to then again being like, no, actually this is the differentiated thing that is interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like we're at this point where people are talking about where ontology fits in their tech stack. And like the ontology is like the unlocking factor for many of our customers. Actually, what am I saying? All of them.
Yeah. And then you gotta have to see it and build the intuition. So come to DevCon, build the intuition. Let's do it.
I love it. All right, DevCon, you can apply right there in the link in the chat. Got 2 weeks to apply, and the winners, a certain amount of them, will get flown out to DevCon. Thank you, Ankit, Jag, and Chad. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. See you.
Bye, guys. Bye-bye. All right. Pretty cool stuff. Cool. So DevCon, if you guys want to check it out, make sure you sign up with that link. And for all the people that are curious about developing, you guys will have a chance to actually get into or have a chance to get out to DevCon. Palantir is up again after hours, 39.31. I mean, I don't know what to say, dude. Like there's nothing that much to say. $39 close, the highest close on Palantir since 2021, January 2021. Pretty aggressive close. We are now getting to the place where there's no volume shelf resistance. So 39 to 40 it's like anyone could see those levels. It could go above those levels, could go below those levels. There's just really not enough support to judge what could happen to those levels, but those levels seem to be here, given we are surging higher after hours, and that is creating momentum. We are not at a record market cap yet. Right now, market cap is about 88 billion. Record market cap is, I think, about 102 billion. So still a little bit away from that $100 billion market cap. But there you go. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool right now in the context of Palantir. 39.31. As Kenneth says, thank you to the Palantir team. Yes, thank you to all three of those guys joining the show. It was super fun. Jag is not my brother, even if he looks a little bit like me, but he is not my brother. This is cool, man. This is really cool. There were only 3 days in Jan 2021 that Palantir traded over 39.30. Wow. So today is the 4th day ever that Palantir is trading above $39.30, and it's happening in the after hours as Palantir is 39.31. dude, there's just not that many sellers. I mean, this is kind of what happens, right? When things get momentum and people get excited. And I know we kind of experienced this in 2020, 2021, but that was in a macro that obviously was ready to eventually take a little bit of a tumble given interest rates were low. Now we're in a macro that it's a lot better. We talked about this a lot over the past couple of weeks, but China, the Saudis, oil, the Fed, rate cuts, unemployment numbers were pretty good with jobs claims this morning. Private payrolls were good. We're going to get big numbers tomorrow for non-farm payrolls. I'll be live at 8:20 a.m. That'll be a very big jobs report. The macro landscape is good. And this is the confusing thing about Palantir. Valuation obviously a bit stretched, but macro landscape is good. So if macro landscape is good, all stocks tend to go higher. That's just what happens when the macro is good. You tend to see a broad market rally of everything. Do we still see Palantir kind of be in that rising tide, that is be one of the boats that's being lifted by the rising tide because it's already been lifted so much this year on its own? I don't know. I guess we will end up seeing that. But 39.30, not too bad after hours. Let's get a perspective from Cameron Dawson, what she's seeing in regards to the market. And then we'll talk a little bit more about macro and keep going from there.
Come in. Cameron Dawson of New Edge Wealth, Joe Terranova from Virtus Investment Partners, Ellen Zentner with Morgan Stanley Wealth Management. They are all with me, as you can clearly tell by now, at Post 9. Welcome, everybody. It's good to have you. All right, Cameron. So we had a lot thrown at us this week. The market's been pretty resilient. If it was down a lot more than it is now, you'd say, well, I understand that, given the tensions in the Middle East, the port strike, and a lot of other stuff, too. What's your view?
Yeah, and you add on top of that seasonality. We do know we're in this tougher seasonal stretch. Just because it didn't result in a lot of wheat markets in September doesn't mean that we're necessarily out of the woods for October. And so we do know typically going into an election, that is what we get. Now, the one thing to watch is that with oil prices moving higher and potentially adding to inflation, that is the one thing that could catch the Fed dead in its tracks for the cutting cycle. And I think that that's why markets are reacting to higher oil prices today in a negative way. Now, it's a big question of, does that actually filter through higher inflation?
The big reason, Joe, that some say the market's brushing all of this stuff off and treating it as noise for now is because the Fed's cutting and the economy's pretty good. And we got more evidence of that today, as I said, with ISM services. Is that how you see it?
Oh, we are clearly in a secular bull market. Global central banks, the percentage of global central banks that their last policy action was a rate cut is now at 65%. We haven't seen that since October of 2020. And yes, there are signs in the eco data that the consumer, maybe they just paused their spending intentions over the summer. It seems as though it's reaccelerating. So I think ultimately, you've got some election angst. Once we get past that, you get the clarity surrounding the election. On the other side, you ultimately make a return to business investment once again and consumer spending. But unfortunately, geopolitics has control of the near-term price action right now. It's lifted the VIX above 20, and it's all about energy right now. You've got the XLE. It's done 16 million shares so far today. It's the leading sector out of the 11 major S&P sectors, and there's far more room for oil to run because from a positioning perspective, it's bearish. Sentiment is skeptical. The 200-day moving average is only at 77.50.
The real question is, to what degree is the market going to be disappointed by the size and speed of rate cuts? It goes to what the chair of the Federal Reserve, Jay Powell, told Ellen Zentner, the same one who's sitting on our set today, by the way, that they're in no hurry. Listen.
This is not a committee that feels like it's in a hurry to cut rates quickly. If the economy performs as expected, then that would mean 2 more cuts this year, a total of 50 more.
Well, you got the goods from the Fed chair, who sort of dialed back everybody's expectations. Were you surprised at all that was the answer he had?
Well, I think when you look at the data that the Fed has in hand since their September meeting, these benchmark revisions to GDP and GDI, gross domestic income, were significant, and especially GDI being revised up. So now you have much higher corporate profits than we thought, lower labor costs than we thought, higher incomes than we thought, greater spending than we thought, and the savings rate is still high, even higher than we thought. So that cushion is still there. So as he put it in that appearance on Monday, it gives him more confidence that the labor market won't weaken so much that they have to speed up. That doesn't mean that there's not a low bar for going 50, And I think you've got that employment report coming during blackout. That's the meeting where the employment report could look pretty muddy if these strikes last long enough. And so having ample room to cut, the chair's own word, ample, means that 50 is not that big a deal if the unemployment rate rises and they feel that they need to continue with 50s.
I think oil is the only thing. Thomas says we are at a record market cap. Thomas, you confirmed that? I feel like we hit 100 billion before. I'll check on Yahoo Finance. I think the only two things right now that are making the market a little scared are the Middle Eastern headlines and oil. That's it. If we can get through those headlines, and the oil stuff is happening because, ironically, of the Middle Eastern stuff and the port strikes. So really, it's the port strikes and the Middle Eastern stuff which are both creating the problems with oil. If we get through all that over the next week, I think we're okay. Also, you guys, I don't know if you guys saw this tweet by Goolsby, not a tweet, but Goolsby didn't tweet, but this quote. Look at what Goolsby said today. Said this 3 hours ago. Dock worker strike was predicted. Retailers stockpiled about 2 weeks of supply. After that, we will see more of an effect. That is why the market didn't fall on Monday when the dock worker strike officially began, or Tuesday at 12 a.m. The market always knows. Apparently, I don't know how Goolsby knows, but I guess Goolsby has some intel on this. The dock worker strike was predicted. Retailers have stockpiled 2 weeks of supply in case they can't get the supply into the facilities, and they'll be good on demand for 2 weeks. So basically, by October 15th, if we still have a strike, there's going to be an issue. If the strike's done in the next couple of days, it looks like this is not going to have an issue. And this makes a lot of sense because the market did not react to the dock worker strike. And the market hit an all-time high the day before the dock worker strike. That makes no sense. Like, this cataclysmic thing is about to happen. All this inflation's about to resurge. There's going to be no supply for your toilet paper. Market's at 576. Like, what? Like, that makes no sense. Obviously, the market knew this was not going to be a big issue. Now, maybe it'll turn into a big issue. We'll see. But they knew it was not going to be a big issue. And it's probably because they knew retailers were ready for 2 weeks. And so, yes, we have about 1.5 weeks and then it all falls. And if we can't negotiate a deal in the next 7 days, we've got bigger issues. So I imagine we get a deal done pretty soon. And if we don't, that's not going to be obviously very good for the market. But I think that quote from Goolsby today gave me a better understanding of why the markets are doing all right. So that was the quote by Goolsby. I wanted to bring up one more thing here. Oh yeah, the historical data on Palantir. All right, so let's take a look at this together. So let's go to January 2021. Okay, so let's go from there till February 2021. Or let's do it till August 2021 or whatever. Okay, so we'll see. Back in January, we closed right here, January 27th. We had so the second aisle is your high and the fourth aisle is your close. So January 2021, sorry, not January 27th, 2021. So look at that. You guys can see it, right? Yeah, you guys can see it. I'm going to highlight it. So January 27th, we hit 45. We closed at 39. 170 million shares were traded. Today, only 56 million shares were traded. Wow. I mean, that volume is not even, that's barely above our average volume today. So to get to 39, which we got to today, we have to trade 170 million shares. The next day we hit 42, and then we closed at 35.6. And then from that day, we hit 39 again in February. And then after February 8th, did we ever hit 39 again? No. After February 8th, it was done. February 8th was the last time Palantir saw 39. Today is October 2024, so 3 years later. Then we fell all the way into the sixes and all that stuff. So really, what the territory we're at is these 5 days from January 25th to January 29th. Those are the closes that I'm highlighting right here, 35.18, 35.66, 39. and the highs are 42 and 45. Even if they were briefly touched, they were touched for a little bit. Was that COVID? No. The 2021 was right after COVID. So if you say COVID was 2020, 2021 was like the beginning of the year after the lockdown started to end a bit and the vaccine started to be distributed and all that stuff. So yeah, you can classify that as COVID, but it wasn't literally 2020. So it was the meme stock run up of GameStop. That's what was happening in January 2021. And Palantir got put into that meme stock category. I don't think Palantir is a meme stock now. I think the developers that I had on the channel just 20 minutes ago, for those that didn't see it, you can rewind. They don't sound like people who work in a meme stock company. They sound like people who are trying to get one of the most important products in the world out into the world. And valuation, you could argue, is meme-ish, but again, there's just so many qualitative elements to understanding this valuation, whether it comes to the Nvidia Accenture partnership, the OpenAI $150 billion funding round, the re-accelerating growth. If we want to get more quantitative around how Palantir will get to these numbers, the adjusted operating margins that are closing in on 40%, they were 37% last quarter. Just feel, and a different macro landscape. The interest rates are not zero. Palantir is worth $90 billion right now with interest rates at 5%. That's not easy to do. That means people actually want to buy the company, not they're buying the company because they have nothing else to do with their cash. I mean, think about that for a second. There are so many places you can put your cash besides Palantir. You can get 5% still from a money market fund. Oh, money market fund inflows. What do you guys think? I got the number. Increase or decrease? I hope I kept a good poker face. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Increase or decrease? Shout out to Chad right there. We are serious people. Let me put Chad's Twitter in the chat. Chad did a Twitter Spaces, so please make sure to check out the Twitter Spaces he did today. I linked that on Daily Palantir. I'll put that in the chat as well. But if you are not following Chad, please make sure to follow Chad. Again, dude, the company is fundamentally different. Someone like Chad was not there in 2021 who could hop on a YouTube channel and for 30 minutes wax poetic about what it means to build out a real developer community and then actually explain how you can participate in Palantir's ability to get Foundry and AIP out there into the world. So I think things are so different from 2021. The company's re-accelerated revenue, adjusted operating margins are higher, AIP boot camps. You got people like Chad and Iliano that are really getting the word out there. I mean, quite literally, I constantly joke with Chad. I'm like, dude, you are like, you are the chief marketing officer. Like, you are the guy that everyone goes to when it comes to learning about Palantir. So it's a totally different company. And so that I'm saying this because I'm harping on this because, you know, a lot of people on Twitter, dude, in my mentions are like top. It's like, you know, maybe you missed the bottom and that's why you're so eager to call it top. But the company has fundamentally changed paradigmatically. And so I don't know if it's that easy to be like it's a top given things are so different. All right. Money market funds have increased by $38 billion. Folks, we have $6.46 trillion with a T, not Billy, trillion dollars in money market funds. Retail has 2.59 trillion of that. Institutional investors have 3.865 trillion of that money. So I think this is actually bullish, to be honest. I mean, the reason this is bullish to me is we talked about all the reasons why money market funds are starting to increase. I think a lot of that money, if we end up having a bull market end of the year where unemployment is low, inflation goes down, the port strike is resolved, Israel-Iran is resolved, you have oil prices continue to come down, you have China continuously stimulate, you have J-POW cut by another 50 bips, you have jobs added from 140 to 160,000 for the next couple months, and you have good Q3 earnings, a lot of that money is going to chase. It is going to chase. It's going to be like me after I take a shot of tequila. I chase, preferably with Coca-Cola. So I do believe that money will chase, and Palantir at 40, Palantir at 39 sounds kind of crazy. You know, that money will, yeah, I said increase. It increased by 39 billion. You know, if you got 6.4 trillion chasing anything that's giving you a yield, I mean, I don't know if Palantir at 45 sounds that crazy. You know, we might see it get a little bit more momentum. So there you go. We got more money in those money market funds. the money market fund should just buy out Apple. That's funny. That's funny. So here's the thing about Palantir now at 39. The question here is this the top? Like, is this a repeat of 2021? Or tomorrow's going to be a hell of a market open, dude. Because tomorrow, not only do we get the non-farm payrolls, but after that, if we can hold 39, if we even hold 37 to 39, potentially consolidate and form a base there, because we've definitely formed a little bit of a base at 35, 36. I wouldn't say it's impenetrable, but it is a bit of a base. Then the 40s on a good earnings are, I think it's possible, dude. Maybe I'm being a little euphoric here, but I really think if we re-accelerate revenue, it is possible. Again, Peter Thiel dumped $700 million of stock. No one gives a fuck. No one cares, dude. He dumped too quick. He could have sold today instead, and he missed out $2. He missed out what? He sold like 20 million shares. He missed out on $40 million by not waiting 2 days. It is what it is. Like, market is seeming to develop its own narrative for Palantir. What do you guys think? End of year. What do you guys think is the price end of year? What do you think? Davis says is 30% even enough to justify this anymore? Probably not. We probably need to get closer to 35%. But 30% is psychological for software companies. If you've analyzed software companies, 30% ARR is very psychologically important in terms of recurring revenue. You got to get there. You can't be below 30%. At a minimum, you've got to be at 30%. And Palantir knows this. There's no way they don't know this. So I think they're going to work hard to get there. Do they get there this quarter? I don't know. And if they don't, it is what it is, right? And maybe the thing tanks 30%. All right, then it is what it is. But if they do, maybe we see some momentum. I think I agree with beneficial. 35 to 45 end of year would be my target. I think I agree with him. I still think 35 to 45 is very possible. Would you roll 39 covered calls expiring tomorrow? Wait till like 12 p.m. tomorrow. See how the price action looks like. I would wait. You know, you don't have to literally do it today, or I mean, you can't do it anymore today. But yeah, just wait till the non-farm payrolls at Palantir jumps up to 40. Then yeah, you roll them. If it goes below 39, then you monitor it, and eventually you can close it out probably for a profit. So I would just, but you kind of have to wait on that, right? If you still have them. So now, if you really think Palantir is about to go to 45 and you want to buy them back tomorrow, all right, you can do that too. But I would give it some time tomorrow to see where the price kind of plays out. Someone says any competitor will have to say we can prove we are better than Palantir and just as safe. That will be hard. Yeah, I agree. It is going to be very difficult for competitors to come out and actually say we are better than Palantir and we are as safe as Palantir and you can trust us like Palantir. We have the best talent. I mean, those two engineers that you saw that joined the channel 20 minutes ago, those are some of the best engineers on the planet. I mean, Ankit has been there for 12 years, bro. Palantir now up 136% year to date. Where is Nvidia? Nvidia's at 154. All right, so Nvidia's still beating us, but I can't even say we're competing with Nvidia right now. I can't believe I'm saying that. But Ankit's been there for 12 years, dude. Most engineers in Silicon Valley, they don't stay for 12 years. They get their money and they leave. And they go to the next place that's going to give them juicier stock options. Like, to get someone to stay for 12 years, 12 freaking years. I mean, is the average marriage even 12 years, given the divorce rate in America? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not easy. So the fact that they stay and the fact that they believe in that mission, it's important. It's really, really important at the end of the day. You guys like that line, huh? Maybe you missed the bottom. That's why you're calling it a top. That was off the dome, bro. That was off the dome. I thought of that on the spot. I was not planning that before I went live. I thought of that on the spot. That was not too bad. That was not too. You got to give me a little credit there. That was not way too bad. I want to play this clip for those that are joining that didn't get to see it in the beginning of the stream. It's this clip I was watching literally right before I went live on about Karp, and it's about how he feels around retail investors. Let me play this clip.
Have the best investors in the world, especially individual investors. Why do they stick with us when times were hard? Why do Why do they fight for Palantir? Why do they, every time someone writes something in name, Palantir's gone MAGA, Palantir doesn't have a product, Palantir doesn't have margins. I'm sure this quarter, Palantir's growth is decelerating despite the fact we're obviously crushing it in America. Palantir is too crazy. Palantir will never be profitable. Palantir can't IPO. Palantir is too weird and odd to produce something that will be disruptive. We knew it was bullshit. The people who out on the front fighting against that BS, fighting against lazy, inept, discriminatory in the sense that is ignorance, people maligning Palantir, do it in great part because they believe that we are fighting for them, and we are. And we're fighting for ourselves. And that's why we have such a great company. So thank you.
Come on, bro. It's just one of those things where you're just like, fuck, dude, like, so proud to be an investor. So proud. I want to get a white t-shirt, bro, and wear it all the time. Like this is like, Karp's becoming an icon, bro. It's like, want to dress like him now. It's like it's cool, bro. I think the thing that's so special about this story is retail is getting rich off this stock, not Wall Street. Wall Street has to buy it at $39. Retail sitting back. You got 20-year-old kids, 22-year-old kids who bought this a couple years ago because they saw some YouTube videos and they're up 300%. I mean, dude, it's a hell of a story. And I think Karp loves that so much. I think we could see it in that video right there. Like, he just loves the fact that retail is getting rich off this stock and building their momentum. It's really cool, dude. It's really, really, really cool. Myth the Kingmaker. Oh my gosh, dude. And it's like Ankit was there for 12 years. Chad joined. It's been a year and a half. He joined in like early summer of 2023. So Chad, I asked the questions to those engineers about their aha moment. Chad had the aha moment about a year and a half ago. And it was one of those things where he was like, I got to work here. I got to be at this company. I got to be at the cutting edge of what they're doing. And so for Jake to have that aha moment this year, for Ankit to have it a couple years ago and stay at the company for the past 12 years, I think that's the other exciting thing about Devcon is like, if more and more devs, like, again, I'm not the most technical, but from the experience I've had talking to developers about this product, the ontology and Foundry is unlocking something that is just special in software. And then let me show you guys this Michael Siebel tweet. Some of you guys saw this at the beginning of the show. If you were here, if not, let me show it again. As more developers unlock that experience, that aha moment, like, it gets really exciting because these software companies are built based on the devs. It's not based on people buying the stock or the customers singing the praises. It's based on people like Chad deciding that they want to work at Palantir because it is so special what they're building that they can't imagine working anywhere else. And remember the Kevin Mark interview I did a couple weeks ago at AIPCon? I asked him, where would you work if it wasn't Palantir? And he literally was stumbling with his answer. He was like, I can't imagine working anywhere else. When you create a culture like that, it's so hard to leave. So here's what Michael Siebel, he is the co-founder of Twitch and the president of one of the largest startup accelerators on the planet called Y Combinator. He said this today: the investing world is convinced that Palantir is an unscalable consulting company. For over a decade, very few competitors were funded as a result. Now that Palantir is a Fortune 500 company, aka S&P 500, investors need to wake up. Large enterprises and governments need customizable, deeply integrated software solutions, aka treating your clients, as Karp says, like your partners and actually giving a fuck about them, not just giving them a bunch of horse shit, especially in the age of AI. At YC, I'm happy to fund startups who want to compete with Palantir. If seed investors want to make money, they will do the same. The fact that he said, hey, I want to compete, or I want to fund the seed round of someone who's willing to actually take a stab at Palantir. Like, the amount of street cred that Palantir is getting from the Silicon Valley investor community from that tweet. Like, Michael Siebel's a really big deal. This tweet has 365,000 views. Like, for him to say that today, I don't know what inspired him to say that, but maybe he saw the stock itself and he was like, you know what? Everyone was doubting these guys. I need to make a post about them. Also, he's probably trying to find the next Palantir, so that's why he's probably trying to get people to be like, hey, like, build shit like these guys and we'll fund you. It just shows how fucking special Palantir is at this moment. It's really showing how special the company is right now. Will you name your first kid ontology? You know, probably not, but I'm not gonna lie, bro. I was thinking of getting a tattoo of the word somewhere. Like, because it's not just ontology doesn't just relate to Palantir. Like that word has always been special in my life in general, philosophically. Like I gotta show you guys some debate videos of me talking about that word, so you guys really like feel what I feel when I think of that word. It's been at least 12 years of me using that word in various contexts, particularly in competitive debate. And so that's why when I saw Palantir using it for like describing Foundry, I was like, what the fuck is it? Like, it was so special. I feel like the word ontology, it's also a philosophical word. So like if you put that, it's not like I'm going to tattoo AIP. All right, I'm not that obsessed, but like the word ontology itself is a philosophical word. Like that's kind of a cool word to have on like to have on your ass cheek or something, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world. So maybe that's what we got to do. Put it on your neck. That would be funny, dude. Put it on your neck. Dude, if I'm out on a date with a girl, she'd be like, what is that? I'd be like, so that is the ontological system of software that is transforming the world. I don't know, man. This is just so cool. This is just so I'm just so grateful to the company. They've just done such an amazing job to get us here. And obviously they've really elevated the financial situation of many, many average people. I know a lot of people who work regular jobs that took some money, put into Palantir, and they're up a lot on it. It's crazy, dude. It is very crazy how the story is playing out. And a correction from here is probably likely. Does it matter? No, because of how much momentum is built into the stock, that I think there will be dip buyers at every level. And so we're just going to have to see how that ultimately plays out. A Palantir tattoo would go hard. I agree. It definitely would go hard. She'll be like, I love when you talk all ontology to me. Dude, I got to find a philosophical girl, bro. I need a philosophical girl. I need a girl who likes philosophy. We got to be able to have ontological conversations, you know? If she could talk stock market and talk philosophy, bro, she's a keeper. She's an absolute keeper. All right. Do we have anything else? Do we have anything else to talk about? Robinhood at the current prices, it's difficult to see averaging up, but it's still undervalued given another upcoming quarter, 40% growth. Yeah, I bought more Robinhood. I'll tell you guys exactly how much I bought today. I bought more Hood. I mean, dude, I made a long Twitter post last night, so anyone can go read it on my Twitter, but I like these prices. I bought 10 shares at 22.21, 5 shares at 22.16, 50 shares at 22.29. So what's that? 65 shares? Oh, and then yesterday, about 23 shares after hours at 22.28, and then 10 shares at 22.28. So 65, 80, 83, 93. So about 93 shares in the last 24 hours. I like it. 22.50 and below. I like it. 22.50 and below. And, Vlad's teasing this October event more and more and more. He's saying it's going to be some legend stuff. So I think it'll be some interesting catalysts to see what we got. Amid, who would you say is Palantir's biggest competitor and why? You know, interestingly enough, I was listening to another clip of Karp today. I probably have not saved the clip, but there was this clip where he was talking about we don't have competitors. I mean, dude, who is the largest competitor? If you could say legacy software platforms, you could say Salesforce with their Agentforce stuff and all that stuff. You could say those are competitors, but here's one clip while I try to find it. But here's Karp talking about why the company is differentiated and why, in his words, they don't really have too many competitors.
We are differentiated because in order to actually make AI work, you need an ontology. No one has an ontology. To Shyam's point, you have a lot of people running around saying the data isn't ready. Of course not ready because they don't have Foundry. If you have Foundry and the ontology, it is ready. If you have Foundry, our ontology and Apollo, you can actually work at the edge. If you don't, you can't. And, outside of America, we would still have to convince people of this. Inside of America, we're not really convincing people that we have the only thing that works. We're showing up, we're showing it working, and we're saying this is what it costs. And it's working really well. We are differentiated because in order to actually make AI work, you need an ontology.
Sorry, guys, about the volume. That's just the volume on the clip. Here's another clip about him talking about their differentiation. This has better volume.
Piece of this, we made bold claims that looked ridiculous to many people. One bold claim was these Large language models will not work without foundational software. They will not work without a means to process them. They will stay something like self-pleasuring or PowerPoint, which is the purveyor, which are sold to institutions as a way of deceiving institutions from transferring their high value revenue to other enterprises without actually transforming themselves, which were addictive and thin and led to dysfunction in enterprises, much like their allegory in the political world of wokeism, became slower, dumber, and not able to actually produce results. In the face,
I love when he talks philosophical, dude. I just love it. All right, I found the clip. The volume kind of sucks on it. I'm sorry about that, but this is the clip where he's talking about their lack of competition. I know the volume's not the best, but here it is.
Currently, I don't believe we have competition. We have a lot of people who are like the Palantir of Iowa or the Palantir of Harvard or the Palantir of Uruguay, but they're not Palantir. And it's going to take a long time to actually build what we have, because you'd have to actually understand what is special about the software infrastructure of having the combination of Apollo, Foundry, and the ontology. And then you would have to build on top of it so that you can actually do these handoff functions with large language models. And luckily for us, there is not a consensus at the investor level, VC level, or among analysts that we have the only thing that works, and that means there's just going to be very little investment in copying and doing what we do. And investment in what we do outside of America would be hard to do anyway, because the ecosystem, a term I don't particularly like, to get this done is in America.
So, I mean, to sum it up, he's saying it's really hard to build Foundry, and it's really hard to build it with the guardrails that they built it, and then to build all the platforms on top of it. And because it's hard to do that, it's going to be hard to compete with them. It's just that simple. And then, you got to have the swagger. You got to have a little bit of swagger. You got to have the swagger. You got to be able to have the swag to play with the big boys. It's just that simple, dude. Sometimes you either have the swag or you don't. Like, it's like life is a game of sometimes you got it or you don't. And a lot of times the people that have it are too afraid to show it. And honestly, a lot of times people that don't really have it are just more bold and courageous, and they go out there and do it. And if you have it and you're not afraid to show it, then it becomes a fucking movie. In any category of life, if you have the special sauce, if you have the juice and you're able to drink it, and you're not afraid of drinking your juice, and you've got some really good juice, then life gets fun, because A, who's going to stop you? B, you become immune because you're so good, right? B, you become immune to the criticism and the antagonistic antagonistic ideas that people will deploy against you, thinking you have your own juice, because you've drank your own juice and you believe that your juice is just better than everyone else's juice. It's just that simple. And it's not just self-confidence. It's a level of, it's like, okay, so I'm getting through the analogy, and we have someone who says that is not the worst analogy. That is such an exaggeration. It's not the worst analogy. I actually think it's as I'm thinking on the spot, I think it's a decent analogy. Like, if you have a Capri Sun, you guys know the Capri Suns, the thing with the straw where you got to poke the hole. If you have a Capri Sun, right, and it's a good Capri Sun, you got to take the straw, you got to poke it into the hole, you got to drink your Capri Sun, and you have to feel that your Capri Sun is better than everyone else's Capri Sun. A lot of people, when they go to work, or not work, when they go to school lunches, they have their Capri Sun, but they're afraid to poke the hole into the Capri Sun because sometimes they'll miss the hole when they poke it in. I actually did that many times. And that has also happened in other elements of life where you kind of miss the hole in a variety of different contexts, but that's not the place. This is not the place to talk about it. But if you had experience with Capri Sun, it's really hard sometimes to poke that hole. If you know how to poke that straw through the hole and then drink your juice, you can win. You can really win. And so I think Palantir knows they have the juice. I think Palantir knows that they have the juice, and they know that that juice tastes really good. And now it's time to let the rest of the world drink the juice. And so this went into a crazy analogy, but no, in general, dude, it's about protecting your confidence and protecting your ability to win against how people think you are with that confidence. You need AIP for this metaphor. Exactly. You need AIP for this metaphor. But I really think Palantir has that, right? And I think Karp uniquely has that, right? Like, also, you have to take a risk with things you say. Like when Karp's on the stage, right, and he's like, it's the size of the product that matters. There's like, most CEOs would never say something like that. Most people would never try to be on stage and actually like make a joke like that. That's obviously inappropriate. But like, he doesn't give a fuck, right? He's gonna make that joke. He's gonna have fun, and like, you either laugh or you don't laugh. He doesn't care. At the end of the day, he knows that, hey, I think Karp believes that his product has always been the best product for a long time. And finally, the world, whether it's Forbes or Bill Maher or the New York Times or Michael Siebel, are starting to sing the praises of his product. And that's what's making him excited to continue to execute against that. And I think here's the other thing. When people have the juice and they're ready to let other people start drinking it because they know it's just that good, is they want to make sure the juice continues to stay good. So they want to start making other flavors of the juice, right? They want to start figuring out, how do we innovate on what we have, which is what Palantir is doing with Devcon. We already had AIPCon. How do we get Devcon? How do we take it up to another launch? How do we bring a MIT out to AIPCon, let him host the halftime show? How do we innovate on what we're doing? It's all about pushing the edge. Same thing with what Robinhood's doing, right? How do we have a new platform for desktop traders? How do we have a credit card? How do we just keep pushing the damn envelope? And I think that's what Palantir's doing. Not mayo juice. Never mayo juice. Ontology is the juice. Yeah, I would say ontology is the juice. 100%. I would say ontology is Palantir's juice. And quite literally, I think the market is realizing that ontology is that juice. And that's very, very important. AI Money says it also has to do with the founder mentality. He knows his system, so he can talk in that place. Yeah, I agree as well. I mean, dude, there's a very unique thing with the founder mentality, and you don't have to start a startup to have a founder mentality. You just have to build something, right? Whether it's whatever it is, a brand, a business, a tech company. Like, when it's yours and you believe in yourself. You know, it's funny. I was talking about this last night with a couple people, and it's this idea, and I think this actually makes sense in the context of Palantir. Palantir right now, after hours, 39.25. I think whenever you try to build something, you don't know how the world's going to react to what you're building. You are in this like loop of like, hey, maybe this is going to work, maybe this is not going to work. So the first step of building anything is trying, right? Actually fucking going out there and putting your idea into the world in the face of all the criticism you will receive. Why will you receive criticism and not complete praises over what you're building? Because the world is a really fucking mean place, and people don't want to see other people win, quite frankly. I mean, people don't want to see people become super successful because it makes them feel insecure about their inability for not trying really hard. So you've got the entire world trying to bring you down, which in this case for Palantir, I would say all the rishis of the world that don't understand the company. You've got, all the challenges of trying to actually bring something to the world, whether it's hiring employees or building a good culture or building the actual product or scaling the architecture to thousands of customers and making sure you can become profitable. You've got all these little hiccups. But the first step is actually deciding you have something that the world deserves to embrace, and then you figure out the rest. And I think that part of Palantir, when Karp says we don't have any competition, what Karp's talking about is that most companies on the planet do not have the ability to build what Palantir has done, much less the confidence to show what they built. How do I kind of make this emblematic of Palantir's approach? Boot camps. That to me, and I've talked about this many times, boot camps to me is Palantir saying, we've got the best juice here. You can drink it for free. And if you really like it, it costs $5 million. But you can get a sample for free. Like, because if you're so good, it's why I critique a lot of the finance YouTubers that are like charging for this trading Discord. It's like, if you're so good, you shouldn't need to charge for like people's attention to your content. You should be able to just like make money outside of it, right? Like, if you're that good in the stock market, you shouldn't need to get $50 from Jessica per month. You should be able to make that money relatively easy, in an easy way. So I think with boot camps, it is understated how revolutionary boot camps is, because most software companies will not let you actually try the software before you sign the contract. It's just not it. Why does Robinhood give you a month of gold for free? Because they know that you're going to pay $5 a month, because it's $5 freaking bucks. It's not a lot of money. Number two, like, it's such a good value proposition that there's no way you're not going to pay those $5 a month. It's that simple. And so I think when you can show off your product to the world and you can get them to believe in it, and then you can scale that product and scale that adoption. It is really, really, really special. Ankit literally said, let's just build it. It's easier to build it than to talk about it. Correct. It's easier to build it than it is to talk about it. And again, I think this is part of every element of life. When you're trying to build something really special or revolutionary or different, you have to have this insane, irrational, illusional or delusional confidence, which is an illusion in the beginning of how good you can be. And then when it's time to perform, you've got to just believe that you're good. And you will make mistakes in the heat of the performance, right? Like that's just the nature of trying anything. Palantir has made God knows how many mistakes over the past 20 years, especially in the past 3 years when the stock fell 80%, right? There was a lot of mistakes. They had no sales. They had no go-to-market. Where was the AI angle? There was no AIP. There was no no one even knew what an ontology was. Right now, I think most people can easily explain it at a high level, but it was their fault that most people didn't know what an ontology was because they didn't market it correctly. People still thought they were an evil black box company. We can blame the world for thinking that, but they did not launch the marketing that was necessary to get people to believe, no, they're just a regular tech company that helps the government and protects Western values. Those issues that happened in the midst of trying to build is what they have started to resolve, not fully resolved, but started to resolve. And I think the market's rewarding them based on that as well. And that's why it is very, very exciting to cover them right now. How come you're not working for Palantir? Because if I was working for Palantir, I couldn't sit and talk in front of this microphone about Palantir. So I really love my independence, dude. I love not having anything or anyone control me. And it's a very special, thing in life to actually be able to speak your own mind and not have to be influenced by other people. Some people were talking about, hey, why don't you raise money and start AK Media, make it a media company and let people invest and you can use that money to build your media business. The reason I don't want to do that is because in media, particularly when people invest in you, media is just about distribution of ideas. First of all, media businesses suck. The ROI is disgusting. The multiple is barely 3x. Palantir is trying to get 36x or sorry, a 200x multiple. Yeah, media businesses barely. Look at the New York Times. Look at their earnings. They barely get a couple times of revenue. So first of all, it's a shitty business to invest in. Number two, if someone invests in a media company, that means they have influence over the media you create. So imagine someone invests in AK Media and then they're bullish on Bitcoin and they want me to talk about Bitcoin, right? It's your investor. You kind of have an awkward conflict of interest with them, right? So so if I worked at Palantir, obviously I would not be able to talk about Palantir the way I do because there would be so many fucking legal hurdles to jump over just to be able to put anything out publicly. Now, granted, I'm sure the people at Palantir make way more money than me, but that's okay because sometimes it's not about money. Sometimes it's about sacrificing the beginning to build something for the long term. So it is very exciting to be here and be on this journey. Savici says I spilled the juice on my white tea. Dude, it wasn't a bad analogy, bro. If you got the juice, you got to be able to drink it. I'm 2 for 2 today. I said, but if you missed the bottom, you're too eager to call a top. That was 1 for 1, and then 2. You guys are gonna say I'm 1 for 2. I'm 2 for 2. And if you got the best juice, you got to drink it. That's 2 for 2 to me. It's rare we get a 2 for 2 day. That's a 2 for 2 day. There's no way I'm hitting 50% right now. I'm batting 100 right there. King Carp wouldn't put up with you. I would always be late. That's true. I would always be late. Is the info for Devcon online? Yeah, I'll put the link right here in the chat. The chapters are in the stream as well. So when the stream is done, you guys can check it out. But there it is right there. You can check it out there. Barry says you're 2 for 100 on the year. Okay, that's just not correct. Dude, I forgot I have a fucking Twitter Spaces in 40 minutes. I talk a lot, bro. I really talk a lot. Mark Zuckerberg has just topped Jeff Bezos to take over as the second richest person in the world. Wow. That's some big news. That is some big news. Damn, second richest person in the world? Zucks is the second richest person in the world? Dude, that's kind of crazy, bro. Zucks is the second richest person in the world. That means if Tesla falls another 20%, he's going to beat Elon. And Mark Zuckerberg will be the richest person on planet Earth. That'll be crazy. That will be indeed crazy. He probably didn't see that from creating Facebook. You guys know Facebook was like a dating app at one. It was called Smash or Pash or whatever, or Face Smash. It was ranking Harvard girls on attractiveness. That's what it originally was. And it turned into the biggest social network on the planet. Palantir is $39.25 after hours. It's healthily above 39. I mean, we'll see what happens tomorrow, but it is holding above 39. Volume today was 56 million. Average volume was 76 million. Palantir's volume was 56 million. That's about 20 million below 76. I mean, like that we got to a 52-week high and levels we haven't seen in 3 years on volume that wasn't even that expansive. And I saw that this morning. We barely had volume in the first 10 minutes. Usually, if you don't have that type of volume, you're not going to get that for the rest of the day. Thank goodness I didn't sell covered calls yesterday. I was ready to do it, dude. I was like 38.50. This is stupid. I didn't do it because we don't know what's happening right now with Palantir. The momentum is very strong, and investors are really starting to understand this narrative at a deeper level. People will not be able to live with themselves if Zuck is the richest and most powerful person in the world. Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of people hate Zucks, but Zucks is another example, dude, of having your own juice and being comfortable enough to drink it. Like I know I'm making a joke out of the analogy, but I truly believe in that, dude. I was talking to a friend the other day, and this friend was telling me that, they feel they have so much potential and they just can't get out of their own way. And like, I guess the reason I'm bringing up this analogy, to be honest, is because I was talking to them and I was trying to like tell them, like, what are you afraid of? Like what exactly are you afraid? They're just like, well, I'm afraid of what people think. And I'm like, not able to find my rhythm. And I'm like, dude, you got to make a plan and then go. Like, you got to have some steps in the plan. You're probably going to fail in the first couple steps of that plan, but you've got to get the fuck out there and try. I imagine AIP boot camps was like something that they had conceptualized and then they just try. In fact, Mateo, I was with him in New York. He was at the first AIP boot camp. One of my friends from Palantir who's in New York, and they just put him in a room and they said, "Hey, you're going to Chicago and you're going to do a boot camp." He didn't know what a boot camp was. He was 23. He was like, "Okay." Again, he's one of the smartest engineers there, so that's why they picked him. But you just do it and see what happens. And I think that has been the Palantir methodology. You do it unconditionally. You give more than you take. You try to be the best while not sacrificing your core foundational values. And then you show off not by talking, but by doing it. And people can say whatever the fuck they want. But if you're working and it's actually successful, then no one's gonna be able to say shit, dude. The amount of people that are, I mean, there was this one guy who started shorting Palantir yesterday, and I'm just like, dude, you sound like a fucking, like, it's just, it's like, maybe you're right. Maybe the stock does fall and it's a good short, but it's just like people's logic is like so minuscule and so surface level when making these decisions. And I don't think they're having the depth of analysis of like, hey, you actually have to understand what's going on at this company and how Karp is thinking about this from a fundamentally different level. Palantir already fell 80%, 45-6. For people that think that's going to happen again, there's a lot of different tailwinds that might not allow that to easily happen again. And it's important to remember that. Maybe Joseph Carlson was on to his Palantir Costco comparison. Both give free samples and then the people love it. Maybe he was. Both give free samples and then the people love it. They're not Palantir users. That is true. You are getting too biased. I don't think I am, bro. Like, it's funny. I think I can legitimately say that because the amount of videos I've done on this company, and you can watch any of the videos. Every time I say something bullish about this, I preface it with the bear case inside of my analysis. Like, that's just a fact, bro. Like, no one can tell me I don't do that because I rewatch my videos and I make sure, do I sound like some random guy saying GameStop to the moon, or am I presenting a balanced and fair perspective on an idea? And dude, like, from maybe you're saying I'm biased by even saying this, but like, I just don't think I'm biased, dude. When Palantir was $18, there was conversations about overvaluation at the time because the growth rate was less than 20%. It was less than 15% at one point, dude. And like, we always have had those conversations on Palantir Weekly with everyone in the community. I feel like I think most of the Palantir community has been the most unbiased, bro. Because we all acknowledge the bear case. Like all of us right now are saying, yeah, the valuation's up. I have not talked to a single person in the Palantir community who has not said, yeah, this valuation is getting kind of ridiculous. But at the same time, we're also acknowledging why we bought it at $6 and why the street might be excited to buy it at a valuation that is probably more ridiculous than $6, which is close to 40. And you're able to have that kind of nuanced balance. But I don't think it has to mean bias. Crossroads says Amit isn't biased, he's just based. I appreciate that, Crossroads. And none of us are saying valuation isn't stretched here. Yeah. Dude, and I know I see you guys putting Chris in the chat, but I think Chris has a big influence on me. I like Chris. He's a really smart guy. I consider him a mentor of mine. When he got out of Palantir at $8-9, I did not follow him, even though he had a hell of a compelling argument at the time and the sentiment was horrible. But I chose to go my own way at that time, right? I chose to stay with my own convictions on this company. And that's where I think staying in that $6 to $8 range, hearing from people like Chris constantly giving the bear case, that's what allowed me to actually not be super biased, because I was acknowledging very smart people who were saying some very bearish things, but at the same time still maintaining a level of conviction that, like, okay, these are smart people, they're saying some smart things, but that doesn't mean they have to be completely correct. And I think that nuance in my personality, so thankfully Chris actually added to a lot of the nuance in my analysis, that is what has led me to be not balanced or not biased in my opinion. Chris is a genius, but everyone has some blind spots. Yeah, and he'll tell you that himself. Chris is an absolute dude. The way he understands the markets he's a very smart guy, but everyone misses certain things as well. Meet Kevin's bullish. Is he officially bullish? Is that a thing? Meet Kevin is bullish. Is that happening? Is that confirmed, or is that clickbait on one of his videos? I did see he put out a tweet with some rocket emojis. So I was assuming, okay, so if he's putting out a rocket emoji tweet, that means maybe he's more bullish. Or is he partly bullish, but not fully bullish? Again, it's just a little hard to be super bearish right now. Or maybe for the bears, it's super easy because it feels like super frothy. Maybe. But I'm talking about it from a macro perspective, not forget Palantir, just on the market. The macro perspective I'm looking at, it's a little hard to be super bearish. And again, we've gone through a lot of the macro stuff, China, job numbers, all that stuff. You could be bearish on Palantir right now and say, the valuation has to take a breather. I get it, but on the broader market, I don't know. Amit, if you interview Meet Kevin again, what would be your first question? I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. I guess my first question would be like, I don't know, what was my first question last time? I think my first question would be something around work ethic and how do you keep up with the mental health of having to create content, but also manage 7 kids and a couple startups. It would probably be that question. Because I do think like that takes a toll on someone. It's 7 kids and a couple companies and a YouTube channel. Like, I'm barely managing my 2 streams a day, and managing my Twitter account. Like, it takes a lot out of someone to have 7 kids to try to attend to. I guess that would be my first question. Yeah, it is 7 kids. It is indeed 7 kids. He told me at our last interview, he wants another 7, dude. He said he wants to buy a house near his house to have another 7. I was like, oh, this guy like really likes kids, bro. Really likes, I guess, just having more kids. I guess he really likes like the process of having. I think he was a single dad, not a single dad, a single child, and so that's why he likes having this broader vision. Lee says, Amit, you haven't exactly talked to me, but I've been consistent in stating here that the Palantir was not overvalued. I think the bear case for Palantir is just wrong. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think there's a lot of people that have been saying there is no bear case, or not no bear case, but that there is like there is not an overvaluation here. And I think on Q3 earnings, either people like you, Lee, that have been consistently arguing there is no overvaluation are going to be proven to be correct, and it's going to maintain this 37 to 40 range for the end of the year, or there is going to be not a massive correction, but I would say at least a correction into the low 30s that proves that the high 30s are not able to be justified, and the low 30s is where it might consolidate. It's going to be one or the other, I think, after I don't think we're going to stay flat. I think we either go up or down, and it's going to be a violent up or down, just given the implied volatility that has historically happened. And then we'll see. But even if it does go down, it's like, again, I feel like there's dip buyers that are going to be so ready to buy it if it goes into the low 30s. I mean, dude, the amount of people that are waiting for a dip back to 33 or 34, which is, I mean, that's a dip, sure, but like, is that realistically a big dip? No, not really. Like a real dip is like 26, 27, where it's just like, all right, this is like a real dip for Tesla right now is not 250 to 235 that we saw today, 238. It's like 250 to like 205, right? Like that's like a real, all right, this is a bit of a correction. I don't know if we get that. I don't know if we get that for Palantir. All right, I think that's it. I'll be on Twitter Spaces in the next 28 minutes, continuing to yap like I always do. But this is pretty cool, dude. 39:23 after hours. It looks like we got 3 hours left of the after hour session. It looks like we're going to close above 39, which is fun. And it'll be pretty cool, dude. Closing above 39 will be pretty damn cool. Too many people are waiting to buy before the low 30s. Yeah, I agree. And that could contribute to the increased momentum to the upside as well. I kept expecting to be humbled, and it hasn't really happened since 26. Yeah, I think that's the thing. And you know, it was funny when it was oscillating from 26 to 2750. It was forming a base there for a good 5 weeks before it finally broke out into the 30s. And that's when I think it became evident that it was leaving the low 20s, because we had been so used to seeing the low 20s for like a good year that it was hard for us to believe, all right, the low 20s are done. But that was probably the first time the low 20s are done. And now maybe if it oscillates here from 35 to 40, that'll be a sign that the low 30s are done, right? And so I guess we'll have to see how that chart also continues to play out. Amit, do you know Josh answers? I do not. I do not know Josh answers. Amit never gets tired of talking. No, dude, I get tired of talking, but like my brain keeps running, and that's the problem. Like I always have some shit that I think I need to say because my brain just keeps going. That's the hard part. But it's what helps me do the streams every day. But it's also obviously what leads to a lot of thoughts that can compound on each other. That's usually what happens. Did you buy any HUD today? Yeah, I bought HUD. I bought like 100 shares today. Are you planning to hold HUD past 2030? Yes. My options are a trade, but the shares, I want to hold them. Like I legit want to hold them, dude. And I think if we get a recession 2025, we'll get HUD back below 20, which will be a load the dip. If we get like a really bad recession and trading volumes just fall off. I don't think that's going to happen, but let's say that does and we get below 20 again. Those are, dude, HUD is the next, it's my generation Schwab. It's just that simple. That's the thesis. And there's more parts of the thesis, but that is what I need at a $15 billion enterprise value, growing 40% right now. That is enough. And Vlad being a founder, that's what allows me to continue to buy and hold for the long term. What is your strategy for buying more Palantir? Dude, I think we just wait, man. Like, yeah, I don't think you buy a stock up 130% year to date. If you want to and average up, I don't think that's a horrible idea. Obviously, selling puts, you're probably not going to get any good premium if you don't do 35, 36 range, because the put premiums suck right now because not that many people are buying puts for Palantir, which is actually when you should be buying puts. But then again, you know, it is what it is. If you're bullish on it, then you're bullish on it. So I think selling puts around 35, 36 is the strategy to get in, because you just don't know if we're going to go into low 30s. But dude, buying any stock up more than 130% is just not easy. You know, now granted, if you think this is a $300 stock, buying it at 39 shouldn't be hard, but you have to have the discipline to be convicted that it will stay above 300 or it will get to 300 one day. And the internal short-term idiosyncratic volatility over the next few years will not be the problem that you have. The other issue is the risk to reward. So, you know, a lot of people are saying at this valuation, the risk to reward is not amazing, which I'm sympathetic to that argument. All of that is contingent on growth. So if you say, hey, Amit, is $39 a good buy? I would say if the growth is upwards of 50%, yes, because the risk to reward becomes really amazing, right? Because the multiples will expand, as crazy as it sounds, and the PEs will decrease because the growth will go up. But if the growth is stagnant or not as exponential, the risk to reward from a pure multiple perspective is not going to be amazing. Now, could it still go higher just on hype? Sure. I don't know how long hype can maintain itself without the actual growth justifying the hype, which right now the growth is justifying the hype to an extent, but Q3 earnings is really when we're going to see if the growth justifies the hype. So it's based on, do you think that growth will continue further into the future? I think that's the biggest question you're going to have to ask yourself. Yeah, shout out to Crossroads. He's going to the Robinhood event. It's going to be fun, dude. You're going to be in Miami. You're going to enjoy it. I wish I could go to the event. I really wish I could, but I will be in India, so can't go. But I think Crossroads going, Tanner's going. It's going to be fun, dude. Bunch of our friends of the channel are going to be going, and they'll all be tweeting some pictures of it. It'll be cool. It's a 3-day event, a lot of networking, a lot of fun stuff. We're going to get some new products, this new trading platform. I think it'll be really, really cool. And if the street really likes what they see, they're going to get like, oh, by the way, I didn't show you guys. Someone bought $46 million of Robinhood yesterday in the dark pool, which is basically someone who was buying it, trying to make sure people couldn't see that they were buying it through like a private exchange. And they bought 2 million shares at $23. And then there was some more dark pool activity today that was happening around that 22 to like 22.70 range. So I do think there are some either funds or whales loading up because they expect a strong end of year for Hood and the broader markets. And so that's why they are accumulating as well. It was not me. It was not 46 million. Not for me. Not for me. All right. I guess that's it for me. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We'll be back 8:20 a.m. tomorrow morning. And we got non-farm payrolls. I can't believe tomorrow's Friday, dude. One more day left, and then I go to India. So October's moving quick. We got 1 day left until I'm out the country. Show will go on in India. We'll make sure to keep this thing going. And tomorrow, 8:20 a.m., very, very big jobs number. That job number is good, even if it is a Friday. We may be able to see some more momentum. My birthday, yeah, my birthday is on Sunday. My birthday is on October 27th, actually. So I won't be live. I mean, I probably won't. I mean, there's no market open on my birthday, but yes, I will be 27 years old on the 27th. Where are you going? New Delhi. Going to New Delhi in India. Don't forget to pack your bricks. Dude, I might have to bring the bricks with me. I might have to. All right. That's it for me. I'll be live on Twitter Spaces in 20 minutes. I'll go drink some water because I haven't drank water in 2 hours. I've just been nonstop yapping. And yeah, on Twitter Spaces, I do it with a couple other accounts. We talk about tech. So probably talking about OpenAI fundraising. And honestly, maybe we'll talk about Palantir and all that stuff. And we'll try to go deeper into some of the tech news that we had this week as well. Dave is as old as fuck. Dude, it's so funny because you guys, I know most of you in the chat are much older than 27. You're like high 30s to low 50s. I think most people in the chat. At least that's what my analytics say. Yeah, 27 is 27, dude. I really have no opinion on turning 27. 27 is just, it's 3 years closer to 30. That's all it is to me. Like 27 is 27. I'm pretty content with turning 27. Like there's no like, oh my God, I'm turning 27. I know most people feel that when they turn 30 or whatever, but I'm just like, you know, let's keep executing. Let's keep fucking building, right? Like you got to keep building. Like life doesn't stop for anybody. Life doesn't stop for, I think getting afraid of age is a very losing mentality. And if you're getting afraid of your age, it's because like one of my friends, the friend I was on the phone with the other day, they were like, oh, I'm like turning 24 and I like haven't really done much. And I'm like, dude, like you're fucking like I'm turning like, it's like 24, 25, 26, 27. It doesn't fucking like, it's about just putting in the work and then waking up one day, whether you're 34 or 26 or 42 and realizing that you put in your best effort and you tried. And if you really executed at a level where you could have stayed up a couple hours later to put in the work and you did that, And then you wake up one day and you're a bit older and you see the fruits of staying up a couple extra hours and not sleeping, which is a metaphor. Everyone should get their sleep, but it's a metaphor for just going the extra mile. Then there's no like fear of turning older. It's like, all right, I'm getting older and I'm just like trying to fucking keep hustling. That's it. I really like it's one of those mentalities again. And like, you know who taught me this? My mom, dude. My mom's what, 52. Like my mom is like one of the most creative, like just go for it type of personalities. She's the reason I'm even able to like, be who I am in terms of being creative and being a creative entrepreneur or whatever you want to call it with content. Like she doesn't care, dude. She's like, she doesn't think about age ever. Like she tries so many new things. She has so many hobbies, and she's not going to let anyone say being 50 is too old to try. Like, it's just constantly believing that you have the best juice and that you got to drink your juice, even if the world tells you that your juice does not taste good. Is Spirit Airlines down 30%? Spirit Airlines is down 30%. Spirit Airlines is down 30%. Are they going bankrupt? JetBlue is down 1.4%. United Airlines down. United Airlines is up on this news. Is Spirit going bankrupt? We got a bankrupt Spirit. Spirit Airlines just going bankrupt. Spirit Airlines reportedly in talks with bondholders over terms of a potential bankruptcy following its failed merger with JetBlue. Damn. All right. Well, if you have some Spirit Airlines, that one is down right now. But yeah, it's down about 24% right now. Colonel Sanders started 65. Started KFC when he was 65. Yep, exactly. Colonel Sanders started KFC when he was 65. I flew Spirit 2 times, and yes, it is god awful, dude. It is so bad. Like I should have paid $200 and just went United. It was so not worth it. It was so not worth it. It was a little bit. It's just like you just felt like you were like stuck on the plane, and there was so much. It's just like it was not a good experience. But anyway, no. In all seriousness, like I really believe in this mentality. I think when you're inside of your craft and you're executing and you're working, like, do you think Karp wakes up and he thinks that he's 56? I don't think he thinks about that for 1 second, dude. I think he thinks, holy crap, like the world finally cares about my startup, which is now a public company. The S&P 500. Like he was giggling like a little kid in that video with the forest talking about the S&P 500. Like, I don't think he thinks about age. I think if you're someone who's executing, you don't give a shit about age. You care about like, can I keep executing? And to be scared about the inevitability of not only getting older, because we can't reverse that, and then eventually dying, because we can't reverse that either. That's just something you have to internalize as a human being. And to let that be a crutch from trying and like really putting yourself out there, it is just a losing mentality. And when you're executing, you're not thinking about that stuff. Like I remember I told you guys this a while ago, back in 2018, I really started thinking about death a lot more. And I started reading like Ernest Becker, the Denial of Death, very good book. Friedrich Nietzsche talks a lot about death. Albert Camus talks about absurdism. I was like getting into all these philosophical ideas around the concept of the inevitability of the end of existence. And I think at that moment, I kind of internalized, all right, so this is going to happen no matter what. So you either say nothing matters, or you say because nothing matters, everything matters. And I think the guiding philosophy was, all right, because nothing matters, that means everything matters, aka because I'm going to die one day, then I only have a limited amount of time to like really make shit happen. And then you fucking go for it. And you make a ton of mistakes in that process, but you forgive yourself for those mistakes because you're actually trying. And I think that is the story of Palantir. They made a ton of mistakes, but they're trying, and now they are seeing the fruits of their labor from constantly trying and doing it the right way, which is why they're getting the praise that they're getting right now. All right, I gotta get out of here because I continue to keep talking. Thank you everybody for being here. I'll be live 8:20 tomorrow. We got jobs reports, $39. Congrats everyone. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye everyone. Have a good one.